All right, welcome in. Stream has started, and today we got Colossal Titan up, aka Jared, is it?
Yeah, Jared.
Jared, coming from. Sorry, 1 second here. Just fixing the stream. There we go. Coming from the Break Room startup, which I'm sure we found you off Discord. Is that how we got you in there?
Yeah, I think I had reached out to you. I think we're on the same BDGE.
Yeah.
So I was looking for like a competitive startup to get into. If you go into those sleeper ones, there's just too many people dropping in, dropping out.
Yeah.
People that, for sure just want to compete that year one. And they did. It's just, I don't want to deal with something like that. Get a good group of guys together and, make it competitive in progress.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely think you found the right league and or leagues now because we're gonna be talking a lot about not only Break Room but the Listener League, which is going on right now, and you're in as well as a lot of other people that have been on the show. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if that was what you're looking for, you're probably lucked out because the Discord and BDG, there's like a lot of my leagues, I know people through there. Because that's how I started doing my first startups, and there's been a lot of great people on there, and there's a lot of good leagues. Like I'm still in those BDGE leagues, like 3 or 4 of them, and they've been really solid. So definitely was a smart decision getting on Discord there.
It's definitely a good tool to use too.
It is.
Something I go on, and if I'm second guessing a move that I'm going to make in a draft or a trade, it's always good to get a second opinion. And
dude, I think I've seen like trade that like you made on there before because I don't look at it very much.
Yeah,
but
I gotta go to different channels. So.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta find other channels like Discord and stuff. But I have seen a couple people. It's funny because I don't go on there very often, but I've seen some familiar faces like putting their trades up or whatever. So I always find that funny.
It's funny because I actually posted up a trade once, and it was with Pally, and he was in the Discord, and he had posted it like 10 seconds after I posted it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then somebody's like, "Hey, I think that's the same guy you're trading with."
Oh, that's awesome. Was that in the Break Room?
Yeah, it was in the Break Room. I think it was that big trade I made with him with Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And it actually got put onto actual YouTube channel too.
Oh, really?
And they broke it down.
What channel was that?
His name is Andrew. I forgot what channel it's called. It's like I think it has like a D and D on the. Let me see. I think I'm subscribed to them. I can figure it out.
Destination Debbie?
Yeah, DD Fantasy.
Maybe DD. Let me see. Let me go to the Discord. Take a look.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, I know that Joshy's mentioned quite a few times that like he's seen just like maybe like even people that I know. He's mentioned a few names of just like them being posted on a channel, and he's like, this guy's high on that guy, and it's like I don't know. I mean, is he like he's trading for this player, and it's funny. He's seen a lot of people like similar league mates.
Ours actually got posted up in a different one. It was the Smash Accept Fantasy.
Okay,
We talked about our neighbors and who could trade.
Oh, did they? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they liked my side, but they also said I understand why you want to get that as a deep lineup. But they're just really high on keepers, so I thought it was
understandably.
I thought you were getting the better end of that deal, but I just wanted to get a neighbor share, and you see me. I did the same basically deal with Dan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's when I modeled the trade offer. I'm like, okay, what did Blake get again?
Yeah.
Second.
That's right. Yeah.
Get a kickback of 4 then. No, after that, like I'm not, going back and forth.
It was funny. I think Jay Lamoth had said in the chat too. He's like, why don't you just switch picks with Dan? Because I wanted to get the pick over with because I had to go somewhere yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna counter that, and then he gets off the table. So I was
right. Hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
So you gotta take the bird in the hand.
No, for sure. That's what I try to do. That I don't want to ruin deals like that. Also, like I've seen actually a few deals in this league, and then I get somebody at like 4 extra pick swaps. I'm like, that's not really even close to the deal we just talked about.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you guys just take the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these startup trades can get pretty confusing. I mean, sometimes I get some of these offers, like especially from Jacob, Jay Lamoth.
Yeah.
And, like my head's spinning just looking at them.
Yeah.
Start, like, okay, like lining up, like, okay, like what's the lowest pick I'm getting, what's the lowest pick I'm sending, and then start comparing and. Then I'm starting to go to like Dynasty Data Lab and like, okay, well, what players do these translate to? And it makes my brain hurt sometimes, but it's a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, is that something you use, Jared, like at all, like a Dynasty Data Lab or sites like that?
I actually did. So I was like really stuck with the last 2 picks I made.
Yeah.
I was in between Rome and the 107. But I thought the 107 would be a little more fluid, so I was like, liquid, and I could maybe move that later on for the rookie draft and maybe get Rome plus.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know. I feel like Rome's definitely not going to be there when I have to pick next round, so I just traded up with him and made that. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good source to use. I like looking at Flock Fantasy as well.
Okay, yeah.
Because they have a lot of different YouTube creators on there, and they all
they have like different rankings, right?
Yeah, they have like a combined rankings that you can use and take a look at. Okay. Which kind of helps you, you still have to get your guy just because, I think like Trevor Lawrence was not as high as, other guys on the board were, but I'm really in on Trevher Lawrence and the Jack here, so.
Yeah.
Let me just take him right here.
Yeah.
I was just a few other people tried like trading with me.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, I guess they're probably made the right move right there.
Yeah, I think you and I, like, just in terms of, like, the youthful, like, high ceiling, like, for at least Dynasty, like, you and I pretty lucked out, like, pretty good at, what was, like, 4-8 and 4-9 or something, getting McCarthy and Lawrence. And, like, honestly, like, I think if I just, like, had 0 of both, I might actually go Lawrence. But I kind of broke the tie. I'm a Vikings fan, but not only that, like, Lawrence has already been, like, a pretty frustrating player for a few years, so I just was like, I don't know. I'll go McCarthy. And one interesting thing, because I was getting those offers too to like get traded back, but like I really was set on just like, I'm not moving him now. And I found out recently as well, he basically, I think behind like 3 of the best quarterbacks in the league, he's like the next highest projected touchdown touchdowns to be thrown next year. Like, he's so high, it's ridiculous. He's ahead of, like, I don't know, basically any non-Josh Allen, like Mahomes. I think he's ahead of Mahomes. It's ridiculous, like, how high he is on.
Trevor Lawrence?
No, JJ McCarthy. He's so high on the Vegas books for touchdowns, right or wrong. But the Vikings throw for every damn touchdown, like 80% of them the last couple of years. So.
I could definitely see that happening. I have no shares of him because I'm a little nervous. I don't know.
I had 0.
I feel like they had not a lot of trust of him at Michigan, but they ran the ball pretty well there. Yeah. So I just kind of steered off. I want to see how he plays this year. It could be the wrong move because he can move up a round or 2, in the rankings. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think it's a good point. People have been trying to send me Sam Darnold's and. No, I think Kevin is not with him anymore. I'm not making that. But we'll see how it plans out with him over there in Seattle. But I think he's definitely set up for success. They got a pretty good run game. Yeah. Got Jordan Mason now too to go with Aaron Jones, T.J. Hawkinson, Addison,
the weapons.
Jefferson's my favorite player. I'm a Titans fan. I think he's just so good. They compare him to Facebook.
You saw his first touchdown. That's why you're like, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing." When he had the gritty going in, and that big play, that's got to be why.
Right? Nah, he's so good, and I think he could actually outlast Chase, for a few years in Dynasty because I feel like Chase more is like an explosive route runner. He's trying to go get the ball downfield, but Jefferson his route running ability is so like great. He can get where he wants at any time.
Yeah, like the technical side of him, you think is like better. So it makes sense. Like he might have a longer career of being elite, whereas like Chase is winning a lot of times with like physicality, and of course he's amazing at running routes and all that stuff, but maybe not to the level of Jefferson.
Exactly. Yeah.
We see Adam Thielen still producing at like 34, like going at 35. So
and Jefferson, he learned a thing or two from Thielen. So
hey, there you go. So So who knows? Yeah, maybe Jefferson will be good until 35 plus at this rate.
Jared, I could see that. I also was trying to cut you off, but Blake was bashing Thielen, I think, in one of your last videos because I think you had a few shares of him.
Oh, I got a lot of Thielen. Like he's like he's gonna be like probably dead after like a month or something. But I'm just like willing to get Thielens and just I don't know.
No.
Wait till he's
I
dead.
think so too. I mean, I feel like he's like one of those old running backs. You know, you just have him for the value. I mean, he's a plug and play when you have a bye week or something like that for starters. So I think he's definitely a good get this year.
I agree.
Just Tet.
Yeah.
I mean, they got nothing else over there.
He's the definition of free, and on teams where like I've had weak flexes, like Trent and I did a startup together, exact same format as Break Room, and Thielen's like our last flex right now because the way that we built our team, we have like 4 first banked and a really good lineup. But yeah, we have Thielen kicking around, so I mean that's my favorite kind of player right there is the productive free guy.
No, definitely. I think he's definitely a good candidate to, just bounce back and do the same thing like he does every year. Actually, it wasn't you guys that talked about it. It was Dynasty Trades in 5.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys seen that channel before.
That's how Dan and I like met.
That's how we met. Yeah. Blake sent in like a trade he did in a league that we're both in. And I was just like watching like their stream and like saw Blake's trade come up. I was like, oh my God, and then I messaged him and we just started talking. And Blake mentioned that, he does a little YouTube content every once in a while. And I was like, oh, yeah, sounds like fun. Like, if you ever, need someone to, talk about Dynasty with, let me know. I'd be happy to come on. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, it's an awesome show. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And great having you here on Dynasty GOATs. And welcome to the channel as well. So we have some questions that we pretty much ask all of our guests on here. First one is, how long have you been playing fantasy football? How long have you been playing Dynasty? And how did you get into Dynasty?
So fantasy football, I think since middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, older cousins, and they invited me to a league. And it's funny that I forgot what year it was, but I couldn't make it because I had baseball practice that day. And I got autoed the whole draft.
Oh, man.
But
Yeah.
I came out with a stack.
Okay.
I had Gronk in his prime. I think I had AB, Big Ben, Le'Veon, and I ended up winning the championship that year.
Wow.
Just doing little waiver wire pickups and stuff like that throughout the season. And, staying afterwards. But then a few years later, I worked at a school, and one of the teachers that I worked with, he kept talking about Dynasty all over and over and over again. He's like, got to get you in here, you're going to love it. Because we were doing redraft and stuff together, and I did it, and I've talked to Seb about it. I got fleeced throughout that first draft.
Okay.
I was getting taken advantage. I didn't know it was a 2 tight end league too. We had to start 2.
Okay.
2 quarterbacks, not flat, not a super.
Oh man.
Had to start 2, and then I think it was start 13.
Oh my God. Yeah.
My first 2 picks, I think I had Zeke in his prime, but that aged so poorly. I think he just kept going down every year. And then Nick Chubb, I think was my round 2 pick, because I was just used to, grabbing those running backs early and redraft. And I just, I fell behind so much. I just had to tear it. I think I tore it down midway through the season because I was like, I'm toast. I had no chance. Well, there was one guy, commissioner. He was just. I think he was bullying people in trades and stuff like that. His team was the best team I've ever seen in my life. It was that first year when Jefferson actually came out.
Okay.
I think he had Jefferson, Lamb. He had Josh Allen. I think he got Mahomes. He had Kelsey, Kittle, and this was the 2 tight end league. He was winning by 70 points a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I just tore it down, sold all my players, got a lot of picks back, and I was able to bounce back. Unfortunately, that league closed down. So. Oh,
okay. I was gonna ask you, is that still kicking around? But
yeah, that league's done. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why it ended up closing down, but I've been in a few leagues where it just gets closed down, and usually the commissioner gets the one just gets over it and just closes it, and he even send a refund out, and all right, that's it.
Yeah, I haven't been through that, but also Dan and I, we did go through it in a 16-team league where the commissioner he knew in real life had closed it, but it was only a $25 buy-in or something like that, and So, and I had just orphaned it for like 1 year, so like I wasn't like too invested, but Dan was like, had just missed out on the three-peat. I think he lost in the final, was it?
Yeah. Lost in the finals. It would have been a three-peat, and I mean that team would have been good for a long time. So I mean that was a bummer, and that was my first Dynasty league. So it was kind of sad to like see that fold. But you know what are you gonna do? I got plenty of leagues to replace it. That's for sure. How about you, Jared? How many Dynasty leagues are you in right now, and which one's your favorite?
I actually did a hard reset. I basically stopped playing fantasy football all of last year.
Okay.
So I had people like take over all my leagues, and this was my, my get back year. Just last year, we were doing a lot of transition. I bought a house in October, so I had to do that. I did a career switch, so a lot going on last year. So I was like, all right, all that's settled. Let me get back into a few leagues. I'm in the 2 with you guys. I got another one with Seb, but it's free. So it's like one of all of his people from work, and so those, and then I have one other BDGE league that I'm in. So
what number is that, out of curiosity?
Let me take a look.
Is there a number? Because like they did so many. Like I joined them like a couple years ago, and like I'm in like 20 and 31 and 24, and so I don't know if they reset the numbers, but they must be on like hundreds right now.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I don't think it's actually one of their. It just says BDGE Startup 2025. That's
okay. They probably stopped numbering them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in one last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I won that league. That was good. There was a lot of, it was very active.
Yeah.
So that's always good. It's just hard trying to find people that are as active as I am. I'm always sending trades out.
Oh yeah, we noticed.
Yeah, it's just I have a long commute to work, so I'm always like, what can I say when I finally park,
Yeah.
And a few out before I get into the office or whatever. So I know it's just fun, listen to a few channels on the way.
Yeah.
And it kills time. It's good. So it's it's something I look forward to doing each year. I like doing redraft too, but I think just dynasties is complete.
Yeah. I agree. I'll probably play like a redraft league or two, but like I couldn't even like invest myself in redraft. Like I didn't even want to make like waiver pickup and stuff. Like I'm just all in on dynasty.
And then also there's not as many trades going on in redraft. You usually just take a team, and a lot of people don't even log in. Sometimes they just forget about it, and just get lucky.
And it's like,
great.
Did you draft the Saquon that year? Like it's just, did you draft the guy that you got to own? If you didn't draft him, and it did, like you're pretty much screwed. Like honestly, it's ridiculous. The numbers, like CMC 2 years ago, like over 50% of owners in the finals, and Saquon the same thing this year. Like it's just insane.
Yeah. No, it gets pretty frustrating sometimes when you get into a league like that, and then somebody that pays no attention to it ends up winning it. And this happened to me, I think, when Chase was a rookie, and Calvin Ridley was like going in the first round of startups, and he was he had a good year. So I traded Chase away for Calvin Ridley, and then remember he left.
I got autoed Calvin Ridley that year because I didn't know what the draft was. I was at the grocery store. It was with Trent, and so I feel your pain.
It was not just a straight up deal. Like I added something because Chase is going like a good round of redraft leagues. It just decimated my team. Yeah, because I think it wasn't even when the season first started. I think it was like week 3.
Okay.
Literally traded for him, and then he got suspended.
Yeah.
I was like, great. I just threw Chase in the trash.
Yeah. I mean, that was great. And the preseason stuff, like, I was gonna ask if you did it like before the season or not, because like if you traded away Chase right before the season started, there was like all the like he can't catch a ball. And there was like something with his girlfriend and stuff. So it's like I can only imagine like dumping him off.
Yeah. I was still high on him, but I do remember all those reports that he can't catch a ball. I was like, man, Calvin Ridley's gonna kill it this year, and just
I mean that was unfortunate. Like he didn't even get suspended. He walked away for the year.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And then he got suspended the next year. For gambling. He's been quite the. And by the way, Dakota's in here. Who's Coda? Randy, who said in real life Jettas over Chase, and then Seb just came in, said that's the homie Titan.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Jettas over Chase, and yeah, Seb, he's been great. You know, we've been talking, I've been trying to help him out here and there. I know you had that really rough start in our first draft together.
Yeah.
It's funny though, like when I didn't know it was his first time playing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you remember that first Laporta trade I did with him?
Yeah.
It was actually a really fair deal, first and second, and I think something else, and like swap 2 players out. And then it's like, man, everybody is just fleecing him, like over and over. Like, God, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
But
I hated seeing that because I felt like I was one of the few that was actually like making fair deals with them, but then like other people were taking advantage. So it's like, in effect, it felt like, you know, I was like falling behind because like I'm not like, you know, doing what they're doing. But you know,
that's pretty much that's been like Josh and I too, because we've only made. I think we did make 2 because we made one in the startup where we went on Amon-Ra, who we were just gonna pick because we really wanted Amon-Ra. I mean, okay, we'll move back, which we ended up getting Nico Collins. We got a second, which I thought was a fair deal, which I've kind of like at times regretted, but now like seeing how his seconds projected, all right, like that seems like a pretty good deal now. Didn't know that at the time. And then I think we did like the Mark Andrews and like Dart swap, which I thought was a fine trade. But like the way our team was built, I mean, we're just completely losing a juice tight end in the tight end premium league and getting a player that's probably not gonna score any points this year. So I thought like those 2 deals were fair for whatever we're trying to do. We need an extra quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I think like none of us have really like been anyone really like. Well, although Dan has his entire starting lineup is from Seb, but the deals overall have been pretty fair. But I looked and I think every player has came from Seb, except for Montgomery.
I had mentioned.
But you traded a player. You traded Mixon for Monty, but that Mixon came from Seb, so it's like kind of like
so by the transitive property. Okay, yeah. But I mean, you're just talking about my starting lineup. I mean, like most of my bench I drafted, I believe. But hey, I mean, I like to trade too. We know Jared loves to trade, and I wanted to ask Jared, be honest with us, like how often are you just trading for the fun of it versus like actually following like a process, like in a plan? Like tell us a little bit about like how you approach Dynasty.
Yeah, you mentioned that before in another video. I will never trade just for fun. I always have, you know, something behind it. You know, I'm trying to improve some certain way. Like for instance, like in the break room right now, I've been trying to like move some of my first to maybe compete this year.
Yeah.
But you know, I have some really good assets that I can keep. So I think I have like 5 really top heavy assets that are not going to age out. All of them will be really good and highly drafted next year. So it's like I'm in between on, you know, do I just rebuild? I have those 3 firsts, and I have, you know, a lot of rookie picks still, or you know, do I end up moving those? You know, if I have a hot start in the beginning of the year and other people are losing, maybe I can sell those picks for higher. You know, I don't think it's smart to just trade because sometimes you're not really thinking about, oh, is this really going to help my team out? And this doesn't work out for you. So I do trade a lot, but it's, you know, there's something always I'm thinking about something.
But one thing that I found interesting is it seemed like you were kind of like torn between like tearing up and like tearing down at wide receiver, like tearing up to Chase, but then like tearing down to, I can't remember, like, you know, it's hard to even keep up with all the deals. But it seemed like you were kind of like going back and forth a little bit. Like, were you kind of torn between like how to invest like the value on your team, like whether to store it, like kind of consolidate it into like a Jamar Chase type who's, you know, going to be worth like what, usually around like, you know, 4 firsts or like something like that, versus like breaking it up into like 2 receivers that are each worth 2 firsts, or, you know, one worth 3 and one worth 1. Like, how did you wrestle with that in your mind as you were kind of like making these deals?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with that deal I made with D Hutch about Rome and Brian Thomas Jr. for Chase, because I was like, I mean, it's Chase. You know, he's definitely probably easily the best receiver in the league right now, and he has Burrow, you know, connected with him. So I was like, I don't know if I could pass that up. He sent that to me, and then I kept thinking about, I'm like, man, I really need depth on my team.
Right.
And Brian Jr.'s, you know, he's a wide receiver 1, and Rome, as I just drafted in this other league, I'm high on him, and I had Caleb in that league too. So I was like, it'd be nice to get that stack together. So I don't know. I was just trying to like gauge different values and see what I can get. And I always try to take best player available. And when I'm drafting, I don't, worry about team needs. Like I was thinking about taking Penix and just either selling Lawrence, like some people wanted him.
Yeah.
And like even with the 107, if Cam Ward falls to me, I'll take him and then I'll figure it out later on. But I'm not gonna draft for positional need.
Yeah.
And because you could always move that player, especially when
draft. Especially you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll
It's
find
not gonna be a problem for Jared.
Yeah, I'll find a way. I mean, it's been more difficult in this league, but I mentioned it. I forgot who I was talking to. I think it was Randy, and I was just getting like crazy like bad offers, like this whole draft.
Okay.
Like, I don't understand it. Like I think I was in the 5th when I ended up taking the 107, and then I ended up getting Rome too. But I was like getting offers from, I'm not gonna say like team names or anything like that, but I would be giving my 5th up and then moving back to the 9th for a 26-second. I'm like, if you won't accept that deal, if I sent that back to you, I don't think you should be saying.
Yeah, well, Dan and I love to test that because like there's the times and specific managers where we just get the most outrageous offer. But like it'll be like in an established league, it's a little maybe different in startup, but exactly like if you could apply it exactly the same. And there was one I think like recently with like Pickens for Dan, and like he just like used the guy's like own logic, and he added like extra on top of what he said, and the guy was like, oh, like trying to make excuses up, and I'll do the same thing, like because it's just funny. It's like, well, if you're being truthful, like. Technically, you should be smashing this deal because I'm adding something. I'm not afraid to like add because they're so far off when you go to try and do that to them.
Yeah. Because like basically the manager was saying that Pickens is like only worth a second. I'm like, oh, he's only worth a second, huh? So immediately like went to the other league that we're both in, offer him a second for Pickens. Of course, nope, not interested. Coming up with excuses.
Yeah.
Okay, well here's the second and Jake Ferguson, and this guy like doesn't have any good tight ends. Nope, not interested. Making excuses. Like, come on, man.
I did the same thing. I'm not gonna say who it is, but he's in the break room with us.
Okay.
He asked about Marv, and then he gave me his offer, and he has Marv in the other league.
Okay.
So I went right to him. I sent him.
Yeah.
I'll give you that same offer and plus something else.
Right.
Not going to be selling him. He's going to be bouncing back this year, but I don't want to buy him for a third price because I'm not sure if he will bounce back.
Okay. Yeah. That's how it goes.
That's great.
Yeah, I get like sometimes there is like the team thing. Like I can get like in that situation a little bit. Like if it was like, oh my god, I love this player, but it's like, okay, if there was like team, it could be a little sticky, like a quarterback or like some like kind of onesie positions. But like when you're talking about like a receiver, like a running back, something that's like really plentiful and like I don't know, like I guess quarterbacks aside, it's really easy to like fire it back at them, and you can easily test like put their money, see if they put the money where their mouth is with their statement.
I've actually done that before too. It was a league a long time ago, and I think I was training with Jonnu Smith, but that was when he was at Tennessee, and I think he was worth around a second round value pick. But I forgot what tight end I was trying to get off of him.
Okay.
And he's like, I know you wouldn't accept that for Jonnu, and I sent that deal over for him, and he took it, and then I think it was like a mind game on him. A Jedi mind tricked him.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting the player I wanted for that price I had asked for, because he saw that I was actually willing to sell players for what I'm actually trying to acquire them for.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to do it. It just shows that you're not trying to fleece somebody.
Yeah.
You build that trust in between managers.
Oh yeah, I think that's
ahead.
huge in terms of being able to complete trades. Like, if there isn't trust between the managers, like I don't think you're getting a deal done. Because I think that's like the number one thing that prevents trades getting done is one person or both people being skeptical that like the other's trying to screw them over in some way. Like, oh, what do they know? What are they trying to do? Like, what's their end game here? And then they just like never end up making a deal. So I feel like if you can be straightforward with someone and honest and actually like connect with them, and you know, you keep both managers kind of let their walls down a little bit. I think that's when you can get deals done.
No, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, there's actually that's a problem too. Is if you're in the same league with a few people, and they've seen how you've done before, they're less willing to trade with you. And I was kind of running into that issue like 2-3 years ago. I think I was in a league with like the same group of guys in like 4 different leagues. And then I won that BDGE league. And then they're like, nah, we're not sending any offers to you.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm trying to get over on them. I'm like, I mean, I win some and lose some. Like I remember that year, championship game. So it was 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember, CMC got hurt that last week.
Okay.
I traded for him the day before.
Oh my goodness.
And I gave up the pick. I think I gave up the 105, which ended up being Neighbors. And so CMC for Neighbors right there. And I think I ended up giving Baker Mayfield up. This is before he went crazy.
Oh, wow.
I ended up getting Derrick Henry, and then he got hurt that game too. So I ended up trading up. I got a bunch of old guys for guys that are still playing really well. I mean, Henry and CMC could bounce back this year, but I will never take CMC. I can't do it. Every time I had him on my team, he's hurt.
Oh man,
I've never the benefit of having him on my team.
It's like I'm just like I had CMC. I had like 2 last year, so I mean I can relate. But honestly, like my history of playing, like in redraft, I just never get pick 1, so I've never had CMC. And in Dynasty, I only had him like the last in last year, but I'm still willing to get in CMC for sure because he's going so late. But I feel you when he's burning you.
I mean, it is tough when you get burned. Like your instinct is just to like never touch that hot stove again because I got burned the last time I put my hand on it, right? But I do think there's a lot of value in being able to like mentally overcome that and just like put your hand on the hot stove again because
I'm ready to be heartbroken again.
I've done it with him though. It's like I've given him chance after chance. Anytime I get him, I waited till the last week of the season to get him.
That's right.
And then right away, next day he gets hurt. Maybe it's just not meant to be with you and CMC. So
I think that's the only guy. I mean, I'm willing to get guys. Saquon was another one where I think it was a few years ago. I drafted Hopkins, and I passed on. No, Barkley went like 3 picks ahead. Then he tore his ACL against the Bears. I just traded like Hopkins and like a few players to get him.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, man, like, and I got him in Dynasty. Gets hurt again. Yeah. I was like, I don't know about Saquon. Like, I can't do it. Like right now, he's at his peak value too. So I'm like, I'm not getting near Saquon. 2 first-round pick value. I'm like, I can't do it.
He's one of the toughest players probably in Dynasty right now because if he stays healthy, he could pay it off for the next few years. I mean, he could be playing until 32 like Derrick Henry. And there's also the scenario where he just does the CMC last year or whatever, and just no one wants to touch him with a 10-foot pole. So, I have a Barkley. I don't know. Do you have any Barkley?
I have no Barkley.
You have none.
That doesn't surprise me. It seems like you like to invest in wide receivers and youth. So I'm not too surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I just got.
No.
I was
at that price.
Oh, sorry,
it's, at his price point, I just can't do it. I mean, I think next year, if he doesn't have like an insane season again, I think he'll go down, and I'll buy in at that point. But I think it's just learning mistakes, and I made that mistake of getting Zeke and Nick Chubb in that one league. So I'm like, I can't do it. I can't invest so much into these running backs, even though in this draft we just did, I got the 101, so I'm definitely gonna take Genty. Unquestioned, he's the 101 in these rookie drafts. So I'm taking a swing. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. But it definitely all makes sense now. I mean, the way you like to build around wide receivers, you're actually getting burned by some of these running backs. Like, I definitely understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was a few years ago too, when Cam Akers was getting all that hype.
Okay.
And I was trying everything to get him in almost all my leagues. I was like, this guy's he's gonna go off next year. And then he tore his Achilles in the offseason.
Yeah.
And I got so lucky with that one, because I was sending out massive offers to get him, and
Yeah.
you know, it just didn't work out. And I think that draft class was just a rough one.
It was.
There, Jonathan Taylor's still playing well. You know, he's been having some injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a rough one. And I think we talked about Robinson was in that, you know, in that class.
DeAndre Swift
Dobbins.
Dobbins. Yeah, there's been a lot of injuries to these players, and I thought that would have been a pretty good bunch of players when they came out. But yeah, just these injuries just decimate their value. You know, if like a receiver tears their ACL, I mean, they're still losing some value, but you know, running back tears their ACL, they're just completely going down like 7 rounds in startups the next year.
Yeah, I mean, look at Jonathan Brooks. Like, what is he worth? Like a 4th round pick? Like, can you even get like that from someone? Like, no one really even.
I wouldn't do it.
If it's a 4th this year, I probably am not doing that. Honestly, like I'm just taken by 4th round running back.
That could be like Woody Marks, Jordan James. You know, some interesting players there. So yeah, it's tough to justify it, as crazy as that sounds. But yeah, you're right. The running backs can really lose value quickly. So, let's jump into the listener league. So yeah, that's something we've been brainstorming for a while, and it's finally here. It exists. We are in the startup draft. So I think we are in round 5 right now, I believe. So yeah, let's Blake, do you want to pull up the draft board and?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that in a second. Let's quickly just address the chat here because we got quite a few people in here. Going back to Reed, he was saying, "Are you gonna review the team so far?" So, I mean, we'll just start talking now. The startup, and you know, maybe we could say like whose team we think has got the best start, and some stuff like that. And then Sonny's saying Chase is turning his team around in break room. Jacob's chiming in. Would love to see Dan make his pick live on stream.
I was gonna say that. I was literally just thinking. I'm like, I looked at the draft board right now. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think we could probably make that happen. Yeah. I mean, I think I went on the clock. It wasn't like too long before the stream, but I was trying to like, you know, get ready for this and everything. I didn't want to like completely rush the pick, although I had a feeling who I was going to take. I've been kind of going back and forth a little bit, but I think I'm ultimately going to settle on the player I was going to originally take 3 picks earlier. And then I traded 3 picks back with the Duncan brothers, Randy and Reed there. And I really didn't think this player would make it past those 3 picks, but sure enough, he's still there. So I rolled the dice, and I guess it paid off because I mean, not that it's some huge reward, but got a free 3rd. I always like to accumulate that value. So we might be able to make that happen.
Absolutely. And then Randy was saying that asking if he sent a bad offer, but that doesn't even make sense because you're not even in our league with him, so it couldn't have been him.
No, I am. No.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm in this league right now with Randy. But no, I think I was talking to. I don't know if I was talking to Randy about it or Jay Lamoff. I'm gonna look at my messages. It wasn't Randy though.
Oh, okay.
He said something fair. I just thought it wasn't enough because I was right. The 107 would have got taken to where I would have ended up landing at, and I just don't think Rome would have fell to me. I could have been wrong about that one, but I thought Rome was clearly the best receiver on the board at the time. So
yeah.
Jared, how did you get into another league with Randy? Did that happen after joining the listener league?
No, he's in the league with us right here. So I think that's the trade he was probably talking about.
Oh, just this league, okay.
Yeah, just this
gotcha. Yeah, that's right. I thought you meant like another league. I was thinking that too. So I was like really confused if you guys just like happened to me one. And then D Hutch is in here saying he's also like he's been back and forth on the Chase trade, like he's counting on Rome. And then Randy's saying, oh, okay, yeah, he was kind of saying like, oh, okay, like it's not him or whatever because like Jacob chimed in. But basically, yeah, then Seb saying trading with Dan is always good. He's willing to come to an agreement with both sides, both sides are comfortable with. And then Jacob has also chimed in, most definitely not send. Okay, he said he didn't send, I don't know, didn't send, I'm not too sure what he's talking about. Maybe like, I don't know, is this Jacob that sent the offer? Like, I don't know what this, it sounds like he did on this.
Who's Jacob?
Jacob would be Jay Lamoff.
No.
Okay, so he did.
No. He's actually been pretty reasonable with his offers and everything. And I think I was talking to him about the bad offers.
I see. Okay.
So that's what. I'm not saying he did it.
Gotcha. I was a little confused just based off what he said.
We just made a deal together. So
gotcha.
If he was sending bad offers, I'm not going to probably accept them.
Yeah. His offers have been pretty good actually, but he does it in the style that I want to do them. Where like you're not like giving up a pick. You're like, okay, I'm moving up around, but like I'll give you spots in other draft, which is like how I want to do it. But like a lot of times if I'm moving back, like I want to get that extra pick. Like it depends. I did take one where okay, I'll do the 2 for 2 or whatever, or the 3 for 3, but it has to be like a certain range of the draft where like I am like specifically targeting that. Otherwise, I don't really care like as much about the difference. But to add in what we were talking about earlier about the trading thing, like. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I think you said I sent you a bad one. I will say this: if I've sent you a bad trade at a startup, it's probably because I don't want to get out there. But like you've like inquired about it, and it's like this is gonna be the price. Because I actually just had someone coming in for Trey McBride. I'm like, dude, honestly, like you're probably not gonna get him. Like you're gonna have to pay him like he's Puka at minimum, because like he's scoring like those guys in this format. And so like if you're not willing to overpay like for his production. Like, I'm just not making the trade, unfortunately. You know, as much as I want to, you know, I'm open to making a deal. It's just not going to fit how I'm building the team.
Yeah, I can see that too. Because honestly, some players have fell to me. Like I got Drake May in the top of the 3rd. I mean, I traded up for him with Seb for that. But yeah, like sometimes people try to use that argument, saying like, oh, well, you took him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
How valuable?
But that's not where that's not where my evaluation is.
I would have taken him maybe 7 picks before that.
Yeah.
If I had a pick on the clock. But
yeah.
Just because he fell to me at this value doesn't mean I'm going to be selling you at this value.
That's key. And that's like some of the things. That's why it's been really hard to like want to make deals in the break room. Because like genuinely, like Josh and I, like we felt like every pick was a relative value, whether it was small or big. Some of them big, like even Mark Andrews, we're like, how is this guy going after likely, like basically in double-digit rounds? Like, we don't want to trade this guy. We just got such a good value on him. And built a team like this way. Juwan Jennings and stuff like that, like in 13th, like I thought that was a phenomenal value. So yeah, I mean, it's tough because people are saying, yeah, you got him here, but that's not how I'm pricing him. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players like that for me where I own it. It's just like, I'm sorry, you want him? It's like Jared Goff in every league I own him. I'm not gonna like sell him off for peanuts to you because some Flock Fantasy has him at QB 25. I don't think that's obviously not what I have him, but like because some random YouTube channel says to sell Jared Goff, like I love Jared Goff and he's like one of the cheapest priced of that whole bunch. So. It's like that's
I mean, every year Jared Goff is going to regress. I mean, people have just been saying it like year after year, and like you know he just keeps producing. Like he's definitely one of the most disrespected players in fantasy. Yeah. I'm pretty stunned that he's still on the board in the listener league. So
well, we'll have to get to that. So, but anyway, I wanted to chime that in of this like. If I'm unreasonable in a trade, it's just I don't want to trade them. It's just like I want to keep that player, and like you got to match my price. And even if you match that price, like I still might want to keep that player. So you really need to overpay. And if you're really coming for that guy, and James Conner's like another guy where again he's so low in value, but like I own freaking like 8 or 9 James Conners. It's like good luck trying to get him off me. Like I'm riding this dude till he dies. Like
that's what happened with Dan and I. Jalen Hurts and Neighbors.
I
kept bugging him.
I didn't even want to send you a counter. I didn't just want to give you an offer. I didn't want you to have that option to just like hit accept and like now you own Neighbors. So like I was being very careful with that.
Yeah, and I was bugging you, and I kept bugging you. You're like, no, this is the price. It was definitely an overpay because Jalen Hurts usually gets drafted before Neighbors.
Right.
Fell to the 9th spot in our draft, but I was just seeing how the board was panning out for me, and I was like, I'm gonna get Lawrence. I know I'm gonna get him. So I'm like, why do I want to roster these 3 top quarterbacks with Drake May also?
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get that receiver, even have to pay up a little bit. But no, I'm
really. I don't think it was crazy. I don't think it was crazy.
No, I understand it. Like from especially when you get value on Lawrence, you're like, okay, I'll like shift some of this value, and even if I'm like overpaying, quote unquote, like I'm getting Millie Neighbors because I'm getting such a good value later on.
I mean, I even thought about taking Goff with this value. Because I was like, maybe I can flip him, but I didn't want to have to deal with, not being able to get fair market value for him. So I was like, let me just take Rome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, Jared, I think we're on the same page with how we value wide receivers, and especially in this draft. And you got Jacob, who is just absolutely hoarding the wide receivers. I believe he just went back-to-back receiver picks again with Olave, and I'm guessing that's going to be a Mecca Ibuka. So we'll see. I believe that's the 108. So that would be my prediction. So we'll see what Jacob ends up doing there. But I mean, quarterback is so deep now, so it really is.
Yeah.
I do think there may be a little bit of a shift toward, from quarterback to wide receiver a little bit. I'm definitely not the first person to say that, but it's something I've kind of been seeing for a while now, and I think it's starting to come to a head. I mean, even like months ago, or certainly like a year ago, I mean, it would be hard to imagine adding like 2 seconds to Jalen Hurts to get Malik Neighbors type, but like I don't think it's that crazy. I think that was basically a fair deal, because like anything less than that, like why would I do that? Because I could just get like Jared Goff, and I forget who my other QB is now. But yeah, I mean, it really is so deep.
Yeah,
it definitely is. But I know I talked to you guys about bringing up that Justin Herbert trade. I mean, he's not on my team anymore, but I still really value quarterbacks. I want to have somebody that I know I could just plug and play. I don't have to worry about them. I can have them on my roster for the next 5 years if I want to.
Yeah.
I want to have those guys. Like, I know you brought up Tua and Herbert having similar production, but Tua could be gone tomorrow. Concussion, and he's done. I don't want to have to deal with that. And he's just a nobody on the roster afterwards. So, it comes to stuff like that. I just, there's some good values. Like, I think Gino, I think Seb got him at a really good value in our other draft, and you ended up getting him, Dan.
Yeah.
He's a guy it's pretty good value, but you just don't know how long he'll be there. I mean, he got a which helps out, but I think those guys have to be my QB3. I don't want them in my
for sure. And I think especially, Jared, with like the way you build your team, and I think I'm similar to a good degree. When you're kind of like building it for the long term with he's like young stud wide receivers, and you just kind of want like 2 anchors at QB. Yeah, you just want to be able to like build around that, build around those guys, like rather than worried like, oh, I got to replace this quarterback in a year or 2 years or maybe next month or like whenever. So I definitely hear you on that.
Yeah, that's I completely understand. By the way, the whole Herbert and Tua thing. What has shifted is I started playing, and I was the exact same way. But one thing, like I've really, like, honestly, a lot, like, just gradually shifted just like my viewpoint on like how I want to build my team, especially in startups and stuff like that. And that's why, like, like a Tua, for example, like I think is like probably like one of the best picks like out there, because like I'm willing, because he's gonna getting like triple baked in his concussion stuff. So it's like, yeah, if he turns to toast, like that was already priced in, like that risk, it was already accounted for in his price. Otherwise, his production, like he should probably be like in the 3rd round pick, like or whatever. Like other quarterbacks have priced in for their age and whatnot as well. But like, I mean, in certain drafts too, Tua, like I mean, I think he's a good price in the 6th. I've seen in like different drafts, like him going from like the 7th to the 9th. It's just like ridiculous, like how far it's gone, in my opinion. Because I just prefer like buying in a little bit to the risk of it. You said you don't want to get CMC, of course, because you've been burnt. But like I'm a little, when there's that discount in there, I'm willing to buy into it. So like that's my differing opinion, but I certainly understand it, because that's how I started playing. And I think what changed it was when I was investing in really safe players. Well, then all these safe players I was investing in, they were actually losing value, and I'm like, well, shit. Like, why was I doing that? Like, there's so many like things that you can't foresee. So, I don't know. It's a player to player thing. I get the logic, but I'm a big Brees guy. So, talking about that trade specifically, that's where my logic was. I'm a big Brees guy. I think he's undervalued. I think Tua's undervalued. I feel like I'm printing out a free, or whoever got that deal. I feel like they're printing out a free Brees production wise. In the short term.
I can see that, but then also a year from now, if Brees gets hurt again, Tua's hurt again, I got Justin Herbert. 2 guys are not doing anything. That's how I look at it. And I know Justin Herbert, even if he gets hurt, they're gonna bring him back. You know, like Tua gets that concussion again, or something else happens, and Mike McDaniel's gonna be gone. I feel like after this year. I mean, that's his guy. The next regime is probably gonna get their own guy. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Brees Hall is dealing with the Jets. I mean, they have no O-line. It's going to be the same issues. And I was a huge Breece Hall guy too, and I think he's still a pretty good value. But, we'll see how everything happens this with Aaron Glenn. I know Aaron Rodgers has talked about it a little bit in his interview with McAfee, and he had brought up like Aaron Glenn already had this like view of how Aaron Rodgers was as a person, and like he'd be in the back talking about him and stuff like that. So who knows how Aaron Glenn views Breece Hall? So that's like another too. I'm like, well, if he's splitting carries, is he really going to be, all that valuable versus somebody like Herbert that I can literally keep for years, and then I don't even have to think about the QB's position when I go into rookie drafts. Just take the running backs and receivers that are available and keep building assets that way.
Yeah, no, I completely understand it because I think your like that outlook, we're really playing Dynasty in this like 5+ year window. Like you're probably right with that strategy. I'm like a little more like condensed. Not that I'm like trying to avoid the future, but I'll condense it because like I know I'm not gonna have like 2 and 3 years if I invest him now or something like that. Like I'll eventually like flip him up when people are like, oh shoot, like he keeps playing something like that. So it's just like a differing of like because I remember we were talking about it in DMs and like you thought I was like crazy. I was just saying I was like printing out a free Breece Hall, but that's just like how I'm viewing the game. Which again, it comes with a lot of risk. Investing in these players like Chris Olave just went off last board. I thought that was a really good value. I was hoping he would just keep falling down the board. I'm just not too worried about these concussion things, though. Maybe I should be. I don't know. So,
I think.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, just in regard to the whole discussion about risk with certain players and like whether like the price of that is baked in and whatever. I think Blake does have a good point in terms of like sometimes it is built in and we almost like forget that like, oh wait, that's why you're getting him so late. So I think like the advantage of being willing to take the risk on a guy like Tua is that then you can like load up the rest of your team and maybe you also accumulate some like future first that way. And so then if Tua gets hurt, you have something to either trade off of or trade down from or pull from like your stockpile of future picks or whatever, and then get a quarterback that way. But I definitely understand what you're saying as well, and there is just some like nice peace of mind that just comes from having those thinkers that you just like like these guys are probably going to be here for the next like 5 to 10 years, even if like it's probably unrealistic.
It's comfortable because I look in break room. Aaron Rodgers is our QB2, and that was not comfortable going through that after Derek Carr retired.
Yeah.
And Dart probably won't play most of the season if at all. So it's like I understand. Like it is a lot easier on your mind. Just
Blake's like popping champagne when Aaron Rodgers like returns to the Steelers for 1 year. Like that's how badly he needed a QB. So,
no. I thought it was good for you to get Jackson Dart though, because if Rodgers does and I have a hard time or he gets injured again, Dart is going to play this year. He's going to play. I think Russell Wilson will probably get replaced maybe middle of the season, and you have a third quarterback at that time. I think I had talked to Seb about that. I'm like, man, you got to get more for these quarterbacks. Like, can't just give them away, especially to the guy that's desperate and needs a quarterback. So,
I've been a little torn on him because like I pretty much we traded for him being like we're not expecting I know we'll probably play a snap or a game or something, but like we don't even know if that'll be like when we're still like alive and stuff like that, and like Winston's there, which I don't I think Dart will get his chance before Winston, but like there was some weird like beat reporter saying like they might just like literally redshirt Dart, and that's why they brought in Winston. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm buying into that either, but
I do not see that happening.
Yeah, Dart is taking the second team snaps right now, by the way, so it looks good for the back.
Yeah, Debo's gonna get fired after this year.
Yeah.
And honestly, Dart, I think you have to worry about more next year because I think Dart has a chance of not even, being on that team next year. It could be like a Will Levis situation. I think Will Levis is gonna get moved eventually. But if that new regime has a really high pick, and I think the Giants, I think I saw today, they have the hardest schedule in the league this year.
Yeah.
So if they are, in the running and Arch actually comes out, or, I think Sellers was like one of the other top quarterbacks. Whoever comes out, one of the top QBs, I don't think they're going to pass on them, especially with Arch.
Yeah, in that situation, hopefully he gets like traded then, and because he hasn't even got a chance yet.
Yeah.
But
right. I think he'll still have an opportunity. But I think this year he's definitely going to play because they have to see what they got. Because, they have a really tough, schedule this year, and they got to figure out if he's the guy or not. And if he's not, they got to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, they did spend a first-round pick on Dart, did they not? Or did he go second
Yeah,
round?
yeah, it's a first-round pick. But if you notice, if you're not like a top 5 pick, you usually they'll move on from you pretty quickly. You know, they give you some time. I mean, Jordan Love's got a lot of time because he was behind Rodgers. Usually, guys that are towards the end, like
The
I think it
first.
was Brock Osweiler.
Yeah,
Guys like
Josh Rosen. He was even in the top.
Josh Rosen was still top 10.
He was top, yeah.
That was just an indictment on him. Like, he just looked like that guy. Yeah, like they saw Kyler Murray. Exactly, that's a perfect case.
Yeah, exactly, that's what it is. Yeah.
Kyler Murray came out the next year, like, that's a dude right there. We need to go get him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that. That's in the range of outcomes, but if I'm like thinking in that mindset, he's probably like, that's a case where they just like trade him off, and another team's like, all right, like we'll give you a first for him or whatever. Like, you paid a first.
I don't think they'll get
fail.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get a first, but they'll get like a second or third. Yeah. Maybe like even Seattle. Darnold shits the bed this year. They might move on from him.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I like Darnold a lot, but like I think that's another good candidate for like. That's why I'm kind of I liked in break room. We got Milrow for pretty cheap. And it's like, all right, if he gets in there, it's probably gonna be really good fancy.
Yeah, Milrow could be Jalen Hurts-esque from what I've seen. I just see like he has. I don't know. I've seen him throw the ball. I just don't know if I believe in him completely. Yeah. Like somebody from a different league tried sending him to me like as an actual asset in the trade.
Okay.
And I'm like, he's
a dart. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a dart throw. Like it's worth taking shots on those guys, but like right now I can't view him as a real asset. You know?
No.
Also, just to respond to what you guys were saying about Jackson Dart in that scenario, and I agree with Jared. Like, there's no way the Giants would get a first or anything close to that in that scenario. He'd just be looked at as damaged goods, and it's like, what did Trey Lance go for? Like, what a 6th, 7th round pick, 5th.
Yeah. But that was like what was that, like the 3rd year in his career? Like I've been saying, like, if Dart didn't even play a game, like if he didn't play a game, or if he if he was trash, of course. But I was just thinking of the scenario where like we don't really get to see what Dart is, because that's more like where mine was, because I don't expect him to play like more than half the season or like anything, because I don't think Giants will be competitive. But
I mean, if he got redshirted, I just don't see them moving him.
Exactly.
But I don't see any chance of him getting redshirted. That he's going to play. He's going to play this year. They'll see what they have in him.
I mean, I have to believe they would give him some chance. Like, I mean, even if they had a bad record this year, unless there was just like a generational quarterback prospect, near the top of the draft, and they're sitting there and they just like can't pass them up. I have to believe that they're going to want to actually find out what they have in a first-round draft pick. So, I would imagine he'd play some games, but even if he plays a few games at the end of the season, like how much do you really know from that? I feel like they would give him one more year. So I don't feel like that's
if the GM and stuff somehow wasn't fired, which they're probably getting fired after this year, the coach. But like they need to like be all in on Dart. Like Dart is their future. So from that perspective, if a new GM comes in, it could be any of the. I don't know. It could be the Wild West out there.
Want to hear that, like, I didn't just waste this first-round pick on this quarterback. So I want to hire someone that's going to tell me that, oh, no, he has great potential, and I'm going to get the most out of him.
Yeah, and I mean, they're lucky to have their jobs after letting Saquon go for nothing.
Yeah.
Right. There was a clip of, like, the GM said to him, go trade up for Jaden Daniels. Go make it happen.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know. That's a lot of capital to move to go make that. I mean, it's like, come on. This guy, I feel like, doesn't know what he's doing.
That Hard Knocks was pretty rough to watch.
Yeah, it's more complicated than just that. I mean, you can't just base him off that clip. But I think he knows that they bought themselves another year by taking Dart this year. Yeah. Because they had a chance of getting fired this offseason.
Yeah. But here's an interesting, like, and this maybe not doesn't have any weight, but here's like a hypothetical. What if, like, they purposely don't put Dart on the field because they want to keep their job, and they want to be like, no, like, you can't fire me, like, we haven't seen if Dart is, like, a failure, because it's more important that Dart's not a failure than he is, like, a true hit. Because if you have that is like just like speculative, but when you just spark something in my mind where it's if Dart fails, it's over. Like, they are guaranteed fired, and like it theoretically, like, if they're smart, like they should protect Field. They should redshirt him and be like, dude, like, he looks amazing in practice, And so that's an interesting. I wonder how that's going to play out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think that's what Blake would do if he was a general manager. That'd
Yeah.
be like an IQ 200 move right there.
Yeah, I
but-
wouldn't play him. I'd say he's
Yeah,
the future.
exactly.
You
Hey,
get
as long, you know, until he plays a snap, like you still have a job. You know, you still have like plausible deniability there.
yeah.
You're basically holding the owner hostage. But I mean, if I'm an owner, I'm making whatever move I want to make. You know, I'm like, hey, I gave you guys another year. We're still dog shit. You know, we got to move on. You know?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. To see how that plays out because I never really thought of any of that stuff before we just started talking about it. But let's get into the startup here. Where do we even start? What do we take a look at? Colossus?
Should we go like chronologically, or should we go team by team? Like, what do you think?
Let's take a look at team by team. Let's see what how Jared started, and just in general, I guess kind of the theme of this draft we just quickly go over, and basically receivers. I think the receivers are being drafted pretty properly in here. You know, they're being pushed up a bit. You know, I was telling Dan, like, I wouldn't draft Marvin Harrison at 2-6 personally. That wouldn't be my pick, but I get it. And, I mean, I think these receivers pretty much go in good order. Rice was pushed up, like, from where we've seen. I thought that was a good pick. I was hoping to get Rice.
Yeah, me
too. You know, I thought he was a really good value. And then the quarterbacks, like, it's funny because I think they're all, like, even May, I've been, like, I like Drake May a lot, but I've said I don't like May as a pick because he's normally going in this mid-6th round, or sorry, mid-2nd round. But like 3-1, if I had 3-1, I'm taking Drake May there. Like that's just the difference. That's a huge gap, and I thought it was a great value by you. And all these quarterbacks, like I felt pretty comfortable being in that 4th round and taking quarterbacks, and you tapped one after me, Baker Mayfield, and then we have 2 more. Like in my opinion, like before a tier break here at quarterback, like these have been good values, but I think it's been right. I think you don't need to like push quarterback up when there's just so many available. So I think the leagues has picked pretty efficiently overall. So far.
I've been really impressed with just how pretty much like everyone's drafted. I mean, I definitely thought going into this that like we assembled a pretty smart league, and that's definitely playing itself out. As I look over all the teams, I mean, it seems like no matter which team you look at, like they've got something to hang their hat on. Like, you look at like the Duncan brothers who are just like loaded up at running back. Other teams are like really strong at receiver, or like Joey's got the dual league QBs and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So it's just like, man, I think everyone's doing pretty damn good here. Yeah,
there's really not a team that like I normally you can kind of see a team by now or two just like. I mean, honestly, you could argue that's my team. Like, if someone's looking at teams, they could probably say that's mine. But I mean, I do have a ton of picks, so like in a plan. But we'll see how
it. You're just biding your time, like you're just playing possum, and you know.
I really think if someone,
you're gonna have like a super team.
I don't know. I think if anyone, if there was a candidate for like I don't know like what their plan is, it's probably me. Honestly, like I'll be like. But we'll see how it plays out. But of course, you know.
I have a feeling you'll land the plane. But I can see why you say that. I mean, just looking at it on paper.
I just have way less players than everyone else.
What?
I have way less pick. I've only made 3 picks so far, and we're almost done the 6. So I mean, by default, I probably am like the weakest team right now. But let's take a look at your team here, Jared, and see. So I mean, like you made the trade for Neighbors. And then the trade up for Rome. I mean, 2 great values on quarterback to where they would normally go. I know Dynasty Data Lab has every player pushed down, especially quarterbacks. Like when I've looked at that, it's just not. It doesn't reflect the leagues I drafted. So I really, it might even say Lawrence is like a 5th round pick or something in there. I don't know. It did at one point. Like I think 4.9 is an amazing value on Trevor Lawrence.
I think Dynasty Data Lab did have him lower than that. But at some point, you got to go with your gut on it.
Yeah.
And the guy you want. So I just saw the addition of Hunter this year and Liam Cohen being there at the helm of the offense. So I just think they're going to get a boost. And I know you guys are really are high on Bashal Tuden. So, I mean, I think he has some pretty good weapons around him. We're going to see a big improvement, a step up. You know, he's been hurt. Last year he had doing some nagging injuries. But I think this offseason getting healthy and learning that new that playbook, I think he's had a big bounce back here. So it's I wanted to get him, and I think Dan was telling me to trade up with you to get him. I'm like, I just had a feeling you're going to take McCarthy.
Yeah.
So like, it panned out because I guess you said you were second guessing it. You might go Lawrence. But yeah, I mean, it worked out for me.
Yeah, no, I think like, yeah, I mean, regardless if you got McCarthy there or Lawrence, like, I'm pretty damn happy if I'm in your position getting either. And then these guys, Randy and stuff, like, they really were trying to come up and get a quarterback. I know Trent mentioned that, like, oh man, like, he wanted to get two of them. So, like, you and I really lucked out there, like, getting, like, those two. Though there's obviously good quarterbacks afterwards that, I really like. I just think that, like, McCarthy and Lawrence, from a value perspective, like, these guys have, like, extremely high ceilings.
They're still young.
Value. Yeah.
That's it. Like, a lot of the guys on the board, they're still going to be really productive. I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to name drop players, but they're still really good value at quarterback. But they're a few years older than the guys that we took.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was I don't know. Yeah, I think the draft's been pretty good overall, and like you can clearly see the trend. Like you got the 2 rookie picks. Like I love getting these rookie picks. Just in general, like obviously in any league, it picks in general. But yeah, in the startup you have the the 101?
101 and 107.
101 and 107. You have 2 stud receivers and quarterbacks. So like, yeah, I mean, you're building up a pretty good core. Like this looks like how especially, I mean, basically until this year. I really think this year, like I've changed my draft strategy. But like this is something in the past. Like I've been trying to build my teams like this. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of my startups looked like this in the past, which has worked out well because I'm pretty happy with my teams. I think Dan has a similar build right now as your team.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, Jared, like how are you looking at like when you build a team like this where you're like investing in receivers and quarterback and maybe some rookie picks? Are you just like cool like if you don't compete like year one? Are you also like open to the possibility of it and just kind of like staying flexible but mainly focus on the long term? Like how do you look at that? Like how do you like to build in a startup, and like when are you typically looking to compete?
Well, I think I mentioned earlier, but I'm always taking the best player available. So
right.
I'm always if that impacts me, winning year one, then
right.
I'll just have to take a different approach and season. But yeah, I'm just not gonna try to reach for players. I think I did it more in the past, and sometimes it would work out, and sometimes it would just not at all. And I'm like, just take the best player, and I'm willing to trade so that I can move that later on, still get the value for it, and then I end up getting the guy maybe I wanted instead.
Right.
So that's the way to do it, because you always get a little plus on top that way.
Because you have more value to work with at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I had a few offers. I think I had like 6 offers coming in for that pick where I took the 107. And I was like, I just don't know if it's worth it, because I have a big teardrop after the 107. Okay. So after the 107, it's usually the tight ends, and we have a sprinkle of those different running backs like Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey, maybe Buka, like you mentioned earlier. But I was like, I don't know, like I could either get a few different those running backs like Judkins, Henderson, Cam Ward. And I was like, I don't know if I want to move back 7, 8 picks and then I regret it. And those are rookie picks that already went after me. So I was like, let me just stick with it. Sometimes it's good at accumulate value when you're moving back in drafts, but sometimes you're like, you just gotta take the guy that you want.
Yeah, even with rookie picks, like that makes a lot of sense, because like pick 7 right now in value wise, like that's a clear tier break, regardless of like what you think of Harvey and Ibuka and the guys behind. Like that's a consensus tier break. So like you don't want to get out of that, because if you're in pick 7, it's really easy to move up, as I've found. That's why I have so much Hunter and Tet. It's really easy to move up from 7 to 3 and 4 and like move around in that range. But like once you're at 8, it gets it's a world of a difference.
It really is.
So
Jared, responding to what you were saying, I always say that you should draft for value and trade for need. So it seems like you share that philosophy. So when you do that in a startup and you're letting the value fall to you, which I think is the best way to do it, then do you just kind of see what you have then at the end of the draft and then kind of decide like where to go from there? Like, do you just kind of assess at that point, like, okay, how close might I be to contending? What trade opportunities come? Like what's your process like once you like finish a startup and you're looking over what you have? like how do you proceed from there and like decide on a direction?
Yeah, I try to figure things out like that way. Like in the break room, like right now, I'm probably gonna have to end up rebuilding since I do have those 5, really good players with, Stroud. Who else? I have Caleb Williams at quarterback. I got Neighbors, Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
So basically, if any of those other guys on my roster, pop off, like let's say Najee just. I know you guys weren't too high on Najee, but let's say he just starts scoring a bunch of touchdowns this year. I'll be able to move him for an asset that I wouldn't be able to now.
Yeah.
And here, I'll be able to use that asset and get somebody, that probably fits my team better. But I think it's good to just take the value. Like, for instance, in another league for the BDGE, I got Colston Loveland at 201, and it's a 1-point tight end.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how it happened. I was trying my hardest to trade up.
Yeah.
I just get decline. I was sending decent offers. They were like, yeah, I just want to take my guy. I'm just going to take him here.
Yeah.
I ended up flipping Loveland because I'm in a kind of win now mode. I have Kelsey already. And I got Kelsey at a pretty good value too. So I think I flipped him for Jonathan Taylor straight up.
Oh,
and
okay.
Taylor's going a few rounds ahead of Colston.
Yeah.
But that team kind of realized, I probably need to rebuild. I'm not ready to win. So I think it's just best to take the best player available. I had Kelsey, and I think I had Jatavian Sanders, and I think I had another starting tight end. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I can't pass up on him for Dart or Burden.
Yeah.
Or one of those guys that are left on the board. Let me get him, and I can move him for something else. And I think that's the best way to look at it and use your it's like currency. That's how I look at it. You want to get the highest piece that's in value, and then you could tear down from that, or you can move up, add a little something on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the one I've always been like that. I think I'm Dan completely agrees. I only disagree a slight bit to this because I haven't been practicing it as much this offseason, though I believe exactly in draft for value and trade for need, but it depends on what it is, because quarterbacks right now are so plentiful. If you take an extra quarterback, there's a very real chance you're just stuck with that person unless you take a discount, because everyone, especially when you come out of a startup, that's where it gets a little frisky, is when you do a startup and you start picking best player available, you're truly punting a really slow, or you're risking a really slow start depending on what position you're potentially running back or whatever it is that you're fading, because everyone else just had the chance to draft every player on the board, and most people construct a lineup. That's just how they draft. They construct a contending lineup. So not a lot of teams have needs, because not most players are constructing a solid lineup with a little bit of depth. So if you're that one team that really needs, we almost got screwed over at quarterback, even though they're plentiful, we might get. If you're that one team that has a glaring need, you're in a very high leverage position, or whatever, the opposite of the low leverage position, to trade for something.
Yeah.
And getting Dan, I've been talking about getting to a hot start in leagues really important. So from a startup, I want to get in these tiers and get the best player available, but I'm careful. I want to know. I'm looking ahead to see where positions are valued. So that's my difference. I want to see best player in a range. I want to get in these little pockets. And one reason why I was talking to Dan about the Hurts Neighbors trade, why I thought it made a lot of sense for you, because I freaking love Jalen Hurts. But even from Dan's position, if you weren't giving up those 2 seconds, I'm not giving up Neighbors, because there's just so many damn quarterbacks later. Like Trevor Lawrence you got, we were talking about earlier. And so I don't know. I'm more I'm drafting best player available, but in these ranges. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think quarterback is the exception to the rule, because of how plentiful they are these days. If you just start stacking up QBs and you're getting them because the rest of the league clearly doesn't value them, well then they're probably not going to suddenly value them after the draft. But the biggest issue is that you can only start 2 quarterbacks per week, and in the vast majority of leagues. So whereas with running back, receiver, tight end, especially if it's a premium, you can start a million of these guys. If you're in a start 11, you can start up to, I mean, well, I guess it depends on whether it's like 2 receivers or 3, but like, I mean, a boatload. I mean, like, if you have like an excess of running backs or receivers or tight ends, like you're never gonna have any problems like putting these guys in your starting lineups.
Yeah.
But with quarterback,
that's the key.
Like rotting on your bench.
Yeah, that's the key. Is like quarterback has shifted that where it's like, oh man, like, and that's why I've been like a lot of times fading quarterback. I don't know, what you guys think of that. Like it's been really hard to take quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds or even potentially 3 rounds because the 4th and 5th round have just like productivity wise are so valuable. And then, like in my opinion, the receivers and running backs get a little sketchy in like round 4, but they get better later. Like I don't know, that's just like how I'm looking at the board. So like, I'm a little scared to pick a quarterback early, even if they're a really good value like Hurts, because like I'm just looking at the 2v2 of like, do I want Neighbors and Purdy, or do I want Malik and I guess like T Hagen, or sorry, do I want Hurts and T Hagens or whatever? You know, it's stuff like that.
I think a key point to make here is that you can't have a conversation about best player available without having a conversation about scarcity. That's a big part of the equation.
Exactly.
So, like, just because this quarterback's talented or is going to score a lot of points each week, if there's not scarcity there, well, then that's going to greatly hurt the value, in which case they're not the best player available. So I think that's all part of the equation when we talk about best player available.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I've been tested, and especially in rookie drafts, where like, man, I want to get Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be awesome. But I'm not practicing best player available because I have not taken any Cam Ward, though I think it's a mistake. Because I'm trying to build strengths through receiver like you like to do, Jared, and like I want to take my shot on Hunter and Tet in that range, where Cam Ward's going generally just like right after them. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Like,
I could see that, especially like Cam Ward. So for me, I took that 107. That's where I would take him.
Same, yeah.
For me, like, I'm not letting him get at 108 because I probably, I'm not going to take any of the guys after. But if there's an option for me to get Judkins or Henderson or whoever's there, I'm going to prefer that player. You know, kind of ruined strategy everything about it, but it is what it is. I'll take Cam Ward if he falls to me. I mean, it's a good value.
No, I agree.
He's going as high as 103, so I mean, I'll take the value there. So I mean, I do see what you guys say. There's certain guys I'm just high on. So if there's like for instance, I got Stroud and I got Caleb.
Yeah.
I think Stroud is going as high as 102 last year, and I think he's going to gain some more value this year with the added weapons that they got. And then Caleb, it just has zero excuse to fail. Got one of the best offensive coordinators as his head coach now. Revamped offense with offensive line help. They got more weapons with Burden and Loveland. And they brought. But I know Swift. They thought he was going to get replaced, but Swift is still going to do well. I don't. He just had no O line last year, so that's and the scheme wasn't great. So I think if there's value with some quarterbacks that like Drake May falling to me at the 301, I can't pass on it. You know?
Yeah, and like look at Bo Nix like last year. I mean, like you could have just like passed on him because quarterback's plentiful. But if they end up being awesome, like they're still gonna be worth a ton. So like you have to think of all the angles there. Yeah,
I was extremely tempted to take Caleb. Like basically, if McBride didn't go there, like I think I would have pulled the trigger on Caleb, and it would have like goes against my plan. But I mean, geez, like I would have had to. Like he's just such a good pick in the late second. So it's been a struggle for me to like balance I'm trying to like maximize the points in my lineup coming in week 1, while like spending the least on the line. I don't know if that makes any sense. So it
definitely does. So I always try to look at, is this player next year at this time, could they go at a higher spot than they're going at now?
Yeah.
And I see that for Caleb. I see that for Stroud. I see that for Nix. There's certain guys. Some guys are just capped off. Like, how much higher is Jalen Hurts going to go next year? Like, Jalen Hurts, he's going to top 9. I don't see him going much higher, maybe 107, 106. So, I mean, that's one reason why I didn't move off of him, but, I did have to pay up. It's not like I just did a walk. So, I do see why Dan did that, because those second-round picks are definitely valuable, definitely in season. And even if you hold on to
good currency.
there's a lot of good second.
I definitely didn't want to let him go, but I'm like, okay, if you're gonna pay 2 seconds, then like I don't have a choice. I'm just gonna like go with my process at that point. At the same time, I don't blame you, so it'll be interesting to see how that one works out. But yeah, I was half mad when you accepted that deal. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm still happy with what I got there, so I wouldn't take it back. But I think it was possibly a win-win deal.
So I don't know how to ask you. You know, I don't know. Maybe you can kind of like almost ask yourself the question here that you want to answer. But it was like going forward in the draft here, like. I don't know how to say what's the strategy, but like, is there anything that you like just of how you like you like to play a startup? I don't know. Is there anything you can give us that it's not like ruining your strategy? It's kind of
I'm not gonna. It's not gonna ruin anything, but yeah. Basically, I just like I said before, I'm just gonna take the best player, best value on the board.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do that, even if it's not gonna be my. Like some people, like I have to have my lineup set in this draft. So if I have like a missing space at running back, my next pick's running back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not how it should be.
Yeah.
Because maybe a running back run just happened right before you, and there was good value on the board, but now you just hit a huge tier break. So now
that's the key.
Move on. Yeah, you got to move on to the next best player available, and then figure out after the draft. Like I had some people reaching out to me in the break room saying, "Oh, you have no running backs." You gotta make a deal for one right now. I'm like, Ethan doesn't start till later this year. I have a few months before I have to fill that position need, right? I know now it's getting a little bit closer to that time, and if I'm gonna end up rebuilding, why do I want running backs on my team?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make
for sure. But people will say anything to get the trade done.
Yeah, exactly. They're saying we
stoop to anything.
We needed quarterbacks. People are telling us like, man, Rodgers is gonna sign. It's. I know he's gonna sign, but it's getting a little sketchy, for a while there. But yeah, and I think that's the key. What you're saying, right? Like, I'm not gonna draft my team because like, oh, I need a running back. I'm taking a running back now. I need to like get in that range where like I'm still taking best player available, but I'm constructing in a way where like I'm building my lineup through that best player available or something that range. So, I mean, I agree.
That's why you have the option to trade up too. So, like, I saw Roman stay on the board. I saw a clear tier break after him. And I was like, all right, let me go get my guy.
Yeah.
Because I know when I go back to the 6th round, there's no chance of him being there. So, let me go get him. And if, like, you view a running back the same way, go. I mean, if you're 6 picks off, just go do it. Do a swap later on or add a little on top. Figure it out. But, you shouldn't be panicking when you're back on the clock and like, now I just don't know what to do. My guy's taken. I mean, you have to have some sort of backup plan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like it's really good to have experience. Like that's why for Seb, it's probably like really hard for him like trading up and stuff because if you haven't done a multiple startup drafts or just like really understand the value when you're like newer, it's such an advantage just to know like where you're at on all these players on the board and at each position and what because you knew Rome Odunze was like your tier break, so you had to go up and get him. Whereas, like, I might look at it differently, and I think, like, he's the beginning of a tier, and I want to get, like, the end of that tier. So, like, maybe the 5-5 for me isn't where I want to go, but, like, it's some range before or after that. So, like, everyone's going to have, like, varying tiers, and that's what's, like, awesome, is that starts, like, creating all these trades that we're seeing because everyone has these different evaluations. So, I mean, it's really important to understand kind of know your own tiers and have these plans to build around.
Yeah, so I got to do a little research. I've been talking to different platforms to use, and I actually got them on the Smash Accept Discord with me. So that'll help them out. And I've told them too. I mean, it's kind of odd helping out a league mate. So, but I just know he just needed a little help. So I'm like, yeah, if you want to run it by me, I can help you out. I'm not going to be coming up with deals for you, in that sense, because, I'm still competing against you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, if you want to run it by me, I'll help you out. And I told him, use the Discord. It's a, good resource. And I've sent him a few different, Dynasty channels he could take a look at. And, I mean, I think that's one thing, too. You should, like, try to diversify when you're trying to look at different sources. Like, don't lean on one source, I try to use different like calculators sometimes for like trades, even though I know it's not always accurate. but it gives you some sort of like feel on how that's going to turn out for you.
Yeah, and how the market might view these players.
Exactly. I might be lower on somebody else, but somebody views them, a bit higher, and then maybe the other player they have, they view a little lower, so maybe we make something happen out of that. So I think that's a good way to take a look at things and evaluate all these different players.
Yeah, I think that's key. Look at don't just stick to one resource. Like use everything you have available to you.
Yeah, no. One of the deals, so it was the deal I had with Pally. They kind of bashed my site, but you guys love my site of the deal. When I got it was Stroud, Caleb, JSN, and Puka for Burrow, Jefferson, and Herbert.
Yeah,
and I mean but then afterwards, after they kind of bashed my side, they said it's even. So I was like, what is it? And I'm trying to. I think the format definitely.
You know what? That's what it is. I bet you they're like looking at it in like a start 9 because a lot of people play start 9s and stuff like that. And even start 10, like start 11, just it becomes a little bit different of a beast.
Yeah, that's how you have to look at it. If it's start 9, start 8, Jefferson's a smash on that side. It doesn't make sense to sell him or Burrow on that deal, but I needed more depth. You can see it now. I got my top 5 guys on that team, and then it's a big tier break from those guys. I do have some guys that can accumulate value, but some could just tank. Like, I know some people are high on Kyle Pitts. I know he burned a million people. He's burned me.
Yeah, speaking of burning.
But, like, we'll see. Let's see how Penix does with him. Penix, I know he's going to do well with London. If, Pitts is able to turn around in a 1.0 tight end premium, I can maybe get a little something for him later on. Right now I'm not viewing him as like a high-end asset, but he could turn into something. Yeah. Same with like Charbonnet. Like Ken Walker goes down, Charbonnet is going to go up by a lot. And I think he could be an RB1 with this.
He has been when he's been in there, so.
It's all about, the opportunity he gets. So there's a few players you can see, and that's why I try to accumulate those guys that, if something does happen, I have a shot.
Yeah, they have a path to immediate upside.
Yeah, and do we want to do a team-by-team breakdown here before we run out of time, or what are you guys thinking?
Let's probably leave that for, maybe like next week when we're done. And
we can do that.
And kind of look at that because it's, people are still building their teams, trades are going to happen. It's
that'd be better.
Yeah, it won't be as, useful for our time. But I don't know. Maybe we can quickly, I don't know. Like, I was just saying, like, maybe we could talk about kind of how, like, Dan and I have been doing it, and then you can chime in. I don't know. What should we do next? Or we could talk about, more kind of break room stuff or some trades you've done.
Responding to what you were saying there about Kyle Pitts, he's one of those guys that, like, no one really, like, wants to, like, give anything for in a trade. I don't know if you saw our stream where we did like the draft with like the most untradeable players, and Kyle Pitts the 101. So he's the top guy. That criteria there. I don't think he's like the worst guy to have on a team like yours, where you're probably not expecting to compete right away. You're just like stashing guys, and like you want some guys on your bench, or I guess even if he's technically in your starting lineup, doesn't matter. That can accumulate value. So you never know. I have been reading like some things about I don't know if they're just like rumors, or I can't remember what the sources were, but talking about how like the Falcons might be like having talks about trading him away. So. Maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for him. It's just like a fresh start somewhere else at this point. It can't get much worse for him in Atlanta. I think the thing what's interesting about Pitts is like where has it gone wrong? Like, I know he's had like some injuries or whatever, but like what was his excuse last year? Like he was healthy and like actually for a while he was like doing well, and he probably like went back to like being worth a first, and I guess like y'all should have cashed out at that point. And then the rest of the season he just like fell off a cliff. So what do you even say about a guy like Kyle Pitts? I hope he does get moved at this point.
Yeah, I think that would be great for his case. I think he does need a different change. I have been saying it. I think he needs to go to Kansas City. If he can learn under Travis Kelce with the route running, because if you take a look at his routes that he runs, it's more, he just takes a lot of time to, create space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good vertical threat. But, that intermediate stuff that Kelsey's really good at, and just he's not the most athletic guy, meaning Kelsey, but he uses his body and his route running ability to get open. And if he could have a mentor like that helping him out, teaching him these different, route running concepts that he's just maybe familiar with. I mean, I think he had an opportunity to learn from Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith had a pretty good year last year, and he was good in Tennessee. Yeah. I don't know why the Patriots just didn't use him.
Yeah, the Hunter Henry and
they paid him a bunch of money.
They paid him and Hunter Henry in the same offseason. And I was like, I mean, I guess. That's a typical Bill Belichick type of move. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him.
I think that would be fascinating for his dynasty value. I mean, I can already see the hype going if he goes to Kansas City, he's gonna be the next Kelsey, and he's gonna learn under him, and Andy Reid's gonna get the most out of him, and turn water into wine. So that's about the best scenario you could hope for. So I would love to see that. I mean, I have one Kyle Pitts share left, and I call it the crazy tight end premium league because the tight end premium is 5.0. So you basically catch a touchdown every time a tight end gets a catch. Now there are a ton of other bonuses and weird scoring, so it's not just everything else is normal, but then the tight ends are going crazy. But still, tight ends kind of rule that league. So yeah, I mean, I gave up a crap ton. I traded for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I basically traded 2 future firsts and Derek Carr, who was worth something at the time. There's a couple years ago or so. The 2 firsts I traded, I could have drafted Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs with those 2 picks. So it was one of my worst trades ever. So I would be thrilled out of my mind if Kyle Pitts got traded to the Chiefs. Yeah,
I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow right there in that trade.
Oh yeah,
it happens sometimes though. I think.
Yeah, you never forget the bad trades. You never forget.
Yeah. Somebody trying to buy McBride off me 2 years ago. And I actually got him for a really cheap price in the startup, and I wanted to hold on to him because I had a feeling once who was the tight end that was there? He's in Washington. Ertz, Zach Ertz. And I was like, once he's gone, I feel like McBride's gonna come onto the scene.
Right.
And I sold too early. I went up. I was like, I'm gonna get Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I gave up. I think I gave up McBride and a first to get Pitts.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
I almost gave up Puka.
Doing Kyle Pitts trades then.
Dude, I almost gave up Puka after week 1 and a first for Pitts in a non-tight end premium. Just Pitts was 2 years ago, Pitts was the dude you want to own. And, I was like, holy crap, that, at the time, it was a pretty good deal after 1 week. So, I can understand how you could do that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And actually, that brings up an interesting question that I was going to bring up earlier. How do you view players that are really great prospects, get the draft capital, and then have rookie seasons that are less than we expected? You could look at Marvin Harrison. You could look at Rome Odunze.
It could be
I do know how you feel about both those specific players, but just in a general sense, it seems like people are so impatient these days. Do you try to take advantage of that and learning from the mistake you made trading Trey McBride plus a first for Kyle Pitts? How do you view those disappointing rookie seasons from good prospects? Are you still willing to bank on the talent and the prospect and just having some patience with them?
I mean, that's what I would try to do. Try to buy low on them the next year.
Yeah.
For example, Buka. I think right now he's kind of going down in value a little bit because the landing spot's terrible with all the receivers in front of him.
Yeah.
But that's a guy that can grow in value the next year.
Yeah.
I don't have any shares of him right now, but I think next offseason, people, if let's say Mike Evans and Chris Godwin sign again, people might be like, all right, I'm just going to move off him now, and then let's say Mike Evans would get hurt.
Yeah.
And then he's going to boost in value. So you got to look at those different time windows to trade for a player. If you miss it, I mean, you're missing out on a big opportunity. So that's why you got to be active. That's the reason why.
I'm right on board with that. I'm looking at range of outcomes for players from wherever we are at this very moment, and then sometimes Igbukah, that really tests you because I freaking love Igbukah. But I'm also asking myself, what's his median outcome? And we've seen so many players in this exact same situation, JSN, Rome, Soma, and they just, doesn't matter how talented they are, they've been losing value year one. So unless he catches some injuries, you know, like, he's a really tough player. But yeah, I mean, if you believe in the talent, like, you got to get in at some point. It's just like, when is that? And that's like Marv for me right now. I mean, Dan and I have talked about it a lot, but it's just like, when's the window? Like, I don't think it's right now for me. But that doesn't mean I'm out on Marv. I'm ready to roll once I see something in the market start to change, and you know, in this real life situation, maybe that OC gets fired or whatever. So I like playing those windows.
Yeah, no, I can see. I think the time for Marv is now. I think if he, you know, has a good. I mean, he had a decent season last year. It's just the expectations were so high, and he's going to compare it to neighbors in BTJ who were in the same class as him, which just had a really good. I mean, they had great seasons for, you know, a rookie year. So it's a little unfair to compare him to like those guys, even though he was drafted higher than them. He was just in a tough spot. So yeah. I think this year, I mean, the scheme was tough too.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. He's going back to the same. He's walking right back into that. So that's what I mean. Like, that's why I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be hot off the start, but I'm open to that OC getting fired or them using him differently.
Yeah, it's tough because if you watch the film, you see there's so many opportunities when he's open.
Yeah.
Because Kyler's not looking his way. Kyler wants you to go dump off.
Trey McBride, baby.
Yeah, that's why.
It's true.
Here, it's like you gotta, you know. I think they're gonna talk to Kyler. You know, they can't keep doing the same thing over and over, so they have to make some sort of change. So I think Kyler's gonna assess that this offseason, hopefully. And if,
like they're gonna do some self scouting. Like, I expect Marvin Harrison to have a big year too. It sounds like you're on board with that, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do the same thing and expect different results. I mean,
yeah,
you're the reigning Super Bowl champs. Maybe you want to do the same thing. Even then, you still have to tweak some stuff. You know, the Eagles are not going to be doing the same exact game plan this year. So, I mean, I think he's going to have a good bounce back. He has a lot of upside. I mean, if he bounces back this year, he could be going where Neighbors is at.
Yeah, so that's the story. Yeah.
I mean, all it takes is like one like monster game early in the season, and like, I mean, his price is going to skyrocket. So I'm right there with you on that. Like, I love Marv this year. I have 2 shares. I'd love to get more. But yeah, he's not the easiest player to get, which just further reinforces why he's the kind of guy that could skyrocket in value. Jared, I know you have to get going here soon, but it was awesome having you on here. Like, thank you so much for finally joining us here. It was awesome talking some startup draft and just like general strategy and getting to know you. You're welcome to come back and chat with us anytime, my friend.
For sure. Sounds good. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, have a good night, man.
All right, then. Good luck in the drafts, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll have to get you.
I'm sure we'll be negotiating some more trades, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, the league's been awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's going to be a good one. So maybe when we finish this up, come back on and maybe evaluate some things.
100%. Yeah, we had too much to talk about today. Like, we'll have to get back into it post startup.
For sure. Sounds good. Well, all right, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya. So I'll switch the overlay real quick. But yeah, awesome having Jared on, aka Colossal. We should probably catch up back on chat here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There was just too much to talk about, and yeah, I really enjoyed talking players and strategy and stuff, because it's kind of hard right now. We can't like talk too much about the startup just because we're in the middle of it, and like
we're still competitive.
I don't mind like giving up like my strat. Maybe we could talk a little more, but I don't want him to like force him to say what's the plan, like go for it.
Right.
It's a little hard, so we kind of gotta work around that. But there's gonna be so much post startup to review. If we would bring him back on, love to have Jared back on. So
yeah, for sure. And he had sent us a message in our little chat saying that he had to get going. So gotcha. I wasn't trying to usher him out like it was the Oscars with the.
I figured.
Or whatever.
I didn't have I didn't have my phone, but I do have the iPad up for chat. So
yeah, exactly. So I wanted to make that clear. But it was awesome having him on. I'm sure we'll have him back on again sometime. And I mean, it's just been awesome having so many awesome different guests on. I really feel very blessed. And I just love how this listener league has come together. I mean, it just like started with it was actually Joey who just like randomly discovered us on YouTube and popped on like in the live chat of the live stream. And he just asked like, you know, how do I get in a league with you guys? And like that's like what started the idea. And
Joey's in it.
Yeah, we were talking about it for a while, but like it was kind of like, oh man, like is this ever actually gonna happen? But then finally we just decided like, you know what, let's just like make it, start inviting people. We had been like kind of working on you know, the list for a while. Like anytime someone said they wanted to play in it, like we'd write their name down. But it's just so cool seeing that come together.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of like, you know, fun banter in the you know, the chat, and you know, it's just been such an active league. Like you can just tell like how passionate everyone is and how like anxious everyone was just for the draft to get started. I mean, I've never seen like I mean, because you know, we voted on like a lot of the scoring rules. Like I've never seen those polls like fill up so fast. I've never seen people like pay on league saves so quickly. So I mean, we really have an awesome group of people here.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I'm glad we waited because I thought that was kind of key when you're in the middle of rookie draft season and people doing their startups. Like, we probably shouldn't do the listener league right then because like even myself, like I couldn't even focus on like other, like I wasn't even remembering to put waivers in for like drafts that just finished because I'm doing another draft and I'm like starting another draft, and like I've been really bad for that. So like there's just no way I could focus on.
Like, we waited for like most of like that rookie draft season to kind of die down, and then like we needed something else to do. So it's like, hey, that was the perfect time to finally like make the break or make the listener league. And so I think the timing was absolutely perfect. Yeah, and everyone else is not as distracted and can, you know, be more focused, and you can kind of be the center point. So I thought it was like really good time, and we could all be into it. But yeah, let's see what people are saying. So yeah, Reed's trying to lie to us and say that he's big bro. You know, not falling for that. And then Coop saying he would have taken like all the players that he's taken, you know, 3 to 5 picks ahead. So he thought he's been getting some good values. I did look at his team like again, like I like pretty much everyone. Like truthfully, like everyone has a pretty damn good startup through. You know, that could change, but through 5 rounds, I really can't pick on anyone to be like, I don't like their team. I think everyone has a pretty good start, which makes sense because, again, when you're in kind of a random league, there's always that team or two, even at the beginning, that somehow are assumed to be fumbling the bag. Right. But, yeah, let's see. A Packer guru, that's got to be Matt, right? I would think so, but I don't know. There are a lot of Packers fans.
Let's get a confirmation, Matt. That's gotta. I feel like we've seen him in here, and he did say Kyle Pitts.
I'm sure that's.
I know it's Matt because this message. This is something he would say. Kyle Pitts to me is like Toby to Michael Scott, which is awesome. And I mean I agree. I think we could all relate to that.
That is probably the best description I've ever heard. Yeah. You think of the.
You're looking at him in your lineup, and you're like, God. Like,
yeah, but you know, isn't like the famous line like, "Why are you the way that you are?"
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, saying to Toby. So yeah, that's just absolutely perfect about Kyle.
Yeah, you talk about like a disappointing player, and then seeing them in your lineup, and you just want them gone. Like, honestly, like I don't think I get like as annoyed like seeing these like disappointing players as you, but like Kyle Pitts is probably like he's the dude. Like I don't want to see him in my lineup.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like when I made that awful trade for C.J. Stroud and Bums and Ballers. Like I couldn't wait to get rid of that guy. I couldn't get rid of him fast enough. So I think I turned him into Caleb Williams, and then I turned Caleb Williams into something else. But it was just like, let me just get someone else here that I don't have these like awful associations with, because like every time I see his name in my starting lineup, I think of that awful trade I made.
And Matt's saying it's between his ears, like the issue when we're talking about the issue for Pitts.
Okay.
It's probably true. It really is. I mean, he's got the physical skill set and amazing prospect. Yeah, the injuries and stuff.
Like, there's really like no other reason why he shouldn't be succeeding. So like it really like that has to be it.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier, I didn't get chime in. I think I was like doing something, but I was just like that's why I'm just I can completely see like Kyle Pitts doing the Evan Ingram path and just like all of a sudden then being one of my favorite values in Dynasty at some point down the road. But
it's not the craziest thing. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to be going out and buying a bunch of Kyle Pitts now cheap or at all. But I mean, we were talking about it recently, Blake. I think over text message, where I was saying that Travis Kelce didn't have his first 1,000-yard season until he was age 27. Now, maybe that's a little deceptive.
He was probably like 970
it
and
was
like
probably like 800 or 900 yards.
And 1,000 yards, that's a lot for a tight end.
But I think it does make a good point. I mean, maybe we could find a better example, like look at like David Njoku or whatever. Guys
Smith.
like that, Evan Ingram that you just mentioned, even like Jonnu Smith kind of coming out of nowhere this season a bit, even though he was always like a pretty good player, but he was kind of up and down. But it just shows you that like these tight ends, like you really just can't even judge them after like 1 year, 2 years, sometimes even like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, like
you gotta have an open mind with them. You gotta be willing to adjust.
You really do. I mean, like they'll break out like in their late 20s. Like it's crazy. So like I would not be shocked if at some point like there was some point window in the future where like Kyle Pitts is worth a first again. Like it's not that crazy.
No, it's not. And that's the thing. It's just like when that happens, like there'll probably be hesitation for him, like because we've thought it so many times. So like I'm alright. Yeah, I'm alright missing out on that Kyle when that moment happens. Because guess what? When we know it's happening, like I'll be willing to get right back in. And hey, if I completely avoid it until that moment, where I'm bought back in truly, or
so
until
you'd rather just kind of like buy on the way up.
I'd rather buy on the way up. Exactly. I wanted to ask Jared that because I was gonna say there was something he brought up about a trade, and it was just saying like sometimes. I think that's what it was. He was talking about players that he wants to draft players that he thinks will go up, and that had sparked a couple ideas because. That is how I've always think in startups, but I've had to shift that because when I've gotten in that mindset, I start drafting Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, guys that are these good prospects and showed flashes, and if you're gonna miss regardless of who you're taking and young or whatever like you're gonna end up making missing shots. So like. I also like getting guys like we were mentioning Jared Goff and James Conner who just like can pay off their price and stay there. So like I'm not trying to win every time with every pick. I want to like pick where I'm like shooting for that upside, and it's all right to just like buy players on their way up. Like if I miss out on say like it was like Marv or something, if I miss out on them or player X. I'm alright getting on a higher price and kind of like if it was like Pearsall or something, right? Like these guys that have been kind of fading, but I completely understand why people are on them. I'm willing to buy them on the way up if I'm wrong. It's just if I don't think it's a likely bet right now in this offseason, that's fine. I'm not gonna do it. But it's it's like Pitts. Like I'm Kincaid. I don't want anything to do with those guys, but I'm willing to buy them on the way up if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, and that's the thing. So, like, I'm definitely not going to be sending trade offers for Kyle Pitts after the stream. But, yeah, I mean, my mind is open to the possibility. So I guess if I start to see some positive signs that suggest that he could be trending that way, I'm certainly open to buying him on the way up at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the trade to the Kansas City Chiefs was a really fun idea. Like I really couldn't think of a better landing spot, but it could be something like that. So maybe it's even before the production happens, but maybe it's just like
his price goes down even more. Maybe if he goes Chiefs, if Kelsey's there, because they're like, oh, he's a backup or something. He's not scoring any points.
I feel like there'd be a lot of hype there because like, Kelsey's washed now. He's on the way out. Yeah. Like Pitts is gonna be the guy by 26, if not sooner, and he might even like. Maybe start to beat him out this year, and I mean, I could definitely see a lot of narrative.
If he was just like riding the bench though in season or something, people are like, they'll do the Isaiah Likely thing. They'll do the ball,
then maybe that'd be the perfect.
You know what? You're right though. Isaiah Likely's like riding bench, and he's just like so valuable right now somehow. Though he's awesome.
Yeah, but I don't think Pitts would get that benefit of the doubt. I mean, maybe some managers. If they thought there was that path to like, Kelsey's going to retire and then Pitts is going to be the guy.
That would be interesting. I'd like to see how that would play out.
It would be interesting, yeah.
Let's get to this pick here, by the way. The people want to see this pick.
Should we do the pick here?
Yeah. I mean,
we're really holding people in suspense here,
right.
making them like watch all the way to the end of the stream if they want to see what Dan's pick is, right?
I got an idea who it is. Could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
5'9". Oh, draft's auto paused.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, let's take a look at the board here. All right, so yeah, I'm just on my phone here, so I'm entering the draft room. All right, so yeah, I mean, just looking at like the generic like sleeper ADP, best players available. We got Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, Derrick Henry, Chase Brown. Yeah, so a lot of really good running backs, like just sitting there at the top of the board.
Yeah.
I don't own any running backs yet, so yeah, I mean, there could be some temptation there. And then after that, we got Xavier Worthy. Definitely have him in a few leagues. Jared Goff, Kenneth Walker, Terry McLaurin, Zay Flowers, George Kittle, DJ Moore, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, a lot of really good players here. I mean, it's hard to find like a ton of difference between all of them. I mean, it does feel like we're in this like big flat tier, which makes you want to trade back. Of course, how many people want to trade up? I mean, I don't think I've gotten any trade offers for this pick.
I would think people would want to, by the way, because like again, everyone has varying ways to look at the draft and their strategy. But like those two quarterbacks, like those are guys that I'd be like dying to get if I didn't have to right now. So that's a little interesting.
I think that's the obvious answer. You got Jared Goff and Dak Prescott, very productive quarterbacks, both around, I think Jared Goff is 30, Dak Prescott's 31. I mean, to me, that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, quarterbacks are like playing till they're like, 35 to 40 these days, at least the good ones are. And they're still being like productive, like into their like even like late 30s. So yeah, I mean, in terms of like how many years that we can realistically look ahead in Dynasty, I mean, their age is like almost irrelevant to me.
Otherwise, then you get stuck in the Kyle Pitts and Traylon Burks trap and stuff.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So they're kind of like the anti-ADV guys, the anti-artificial dynasty value. I mean, like it's just like it's pure value in terms of like, I mean, they're scoring points for you.
Yeah.
The only concern with Dak is like the kind of the mounting injury history with him. I mean, maybe he's not necessarily a player to associate with injuries, but I was like looking at his like just kind of scrolling through his like game logs over the past few years, and basically like I think it's like 3 out of the last 5 years he's missed like anywhere from like 4 to 9 games or like something like that.
I looked and I think what I had noticed that because a lot of people put the injury thing, but like he had the hammy thing. But the one was just like a gruesome injury to his leg, where he missed like the whole season after being on like an absolute tear of the start of the season. Where he could have won MVP that year. Like he was going nuts. He was like on pace for over 5,050 or something. It was ridiculous. And then there was like one other thing other than that hamstring injury, I think it was, where he like missed a couple games. So I don't know. Like, I guess like it was like 2 season enders and like. I know one was like that gruesome, one's the hammy, but it sounds like he's good to go. So yeah, I start feeling like that's starting to be priced in because Dak Prescott was a 2-3 turn guy prior to that injury and a bad touchdown rate last year. I thought he's been a pretty damn good value. So
I think the injury history is like the only thing that separates those two quarterbacks. Otherwise, like they're both awesome and productive, and like you'd love to have them on any fantasy team.
Yeah.
So
where Goff has been missed 0 career games or something.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Like that's the tiebreaker, and I think no one gives not just like people don't give Goff credit for that, but they don't really give like a lot of these like reliable quarterbacks credit for that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's not built into Goff's dynasty value whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because he's just one of those rare dudes. They just like never misses games. So I think there's a lot of value in that. And it's not like he's finishing high just because like, he's playing all the games. Even from like a points per game perspective, he's still like doing unbelievable. I mean, if I just like pull up like the league leaders from last season in this league, based on the scoring in this league.
Oh, he's going to be high with the bonus plays.
Jared Goff is at quarterback last season. He was the quarterback 5 in points per game.
Yeah.
So, like, what is he not giving you? He's giving you the points per game. He never misses a game. So, it's not just like he's, like, compiling these numbers. Like, he's both being a difference maker in terms of the points per game, and he's, like, always available for you. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably going to be the pick here for me. That's who I was planning on taking 3 picks earlier. And and I really thought I was going to do it. Like I was negotiating with Randy and Reed, and they were trying to get me to trade back the 3 picks, and I didn't think I was going to do it. Like, I told them, like, I'm probably not going to just take like a 3rd or a 4th to, and risk like losing my guy here. But I started thinking about it, and I don't know. I started like talking myself into like a bunch of different ways of like, even like other players I could have drafted that weren't quarterbacks that I really could have justified. I could probably even mention it because like I don't even pick for a while, and it's probably like not particularly likely that I'm going to trade up. But I was also thinking about Devonta Smith here, getting the stack with Jalen Hurts.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, like that started like feeling interesting to me. And I think that was the moment where like, you know what? Like maybe I'm willing to like roll the dice because like worst case scenario, if 3 quarterbacks go in a row with these 3 picks here in terms of like Penix, Goff, Dax, like I don't mind that much getting stuck with Devonta Smith. I mean, you can argue he's not like in the greatest situation. You can argue like the ceiling is like capped to some degree, but he's still like a really damn good receiver, both from like a talent perspective. And yes, like the Eagles don't pass the ball a lot, but like at least
they're going to pass more than last year. I tell you that much. Like, dude,
they will pass more?
I don't know if you know this, like because they won like 15 straight games. Do you know the percentage of passing in the second half of last year they did? Like you won't even guess.
Wasn't it low?
That's an understatement. I think it was 33% of the plays in the second half.
Wow.
They passed on the season. That's is insanity. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room to grow. I'm with you with like the Smith or anything Eagles passing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it would be kind of fun to get that stack. Like I don't have any Devonta Smith shares. And yeah, like what if there is some positive regression where all of a sudden the Eagles need to pass more? And there could be a million different reasons why. Like maybe the defense is suddenly worse this year, or maybe Saquon gets banged up.
They just get in close games. Like they weren't.
Yeah.
They were not. So
yeah. So I mean, honestly, like I could definitely like talk myself into it here. I mean, just like talking about him, like it's making me want to like take Devonta Smith more here. But man, like it's nice being able to just like lock up that surefire production of like a Jared Goff. I mean, he was just like, I mean, like it's crazy. Like last year, he outscored Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like that's absurd. Like how is this guy like even available here? So like I know he loses Ben Johnson. I know the center Frank Ragnow retires. Like like I don't expect those things to help, but there are other scenarios as well where like what if the Lions defense is bad, or another interesting thing is like I was looking at the Lions schedule. It really looks like pretty brutal from an NFL perspective, and there could be some like tough matchups fantasy wise as well. But on the other hand, like if the Lions get in some more competitive games this year, whereas like last season, at least like the first half of the season, they were just like boat racing teams every week.
Yeah.
If they get in some more competitive games like they did in the second half of the season, and when that happened, what did Jared Goff do? I mean, he went like bananas like in the second half of the season. I think he was on a lot of teams that won championships. I mean, you look at weeks.
Week 14 was insane.
15 and 17, the fantasy playoffs. 15. Yeah, 15 through 17. His fantasy points were 54, 34, 35.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. So, yeah, it's it's a tough choice. Like, I guess it'd probably be between Jared Goff and Devonta Smith for me here. Wish I had back-to-back picks. Like, I would love to double tap those guys, get both of them. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Blake? Do you want to into one direction or the other here?
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't need a quarterback, obviously Devonta Smith, but like, I mean, you know how I feel about Goff. Yeah, here's the biggest thing about Goff. You're getting him at the back of that entire cluster, and regression because he's gonna regress. Here's the thing: he is gonna regress. There's no way he puts up like an 8%. I mean, he was basically double the league average. In touchdown rate, like he's not gonna do that. He's not gonna do that next year. But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to pay off this price. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's where like regression goes a little too far. He's still probably gonna be awesome, and he'll surely score less points than next year. I mean that's almost guaranteed that he does that. But it doesn't mean he's gonna be bad at all. I mean he was just on a tear. So yeah, I would lean Goff in like your situation. I can't believe he's on the board, honestly.
I think I have to go Goff here. I mean, like, and of course, like I love him as a Lions fan as well, and I love him in Dynasty even regardless of being a Lions fan. I mean, this is just one of the most underrated guys in Dynasty for years now. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him go this late, like this offseason.
Not this offseason.
Here I wasn't even like trying to draft him. You know, I'm like daring like other people to like, you know, come get Goff, but like he's still just sitting there. So I think I'm gonna have to take my Lion here. It just feels good to lock up that QB2. And I mean, I love that pairing, Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff. Same pairing that you have in our Blood, Sweat, and Beers league. That's the league that we met in. So yeah,
I have that in another league as well. So I definitely love that.
Okay.
I love that combo.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, I'll be very happy with that quarterback pairing. Especially getting Goff this late here. So I will make this my official selection. Jared Goff off the board.
Yeah. You know what's underrated about that too is like that we didn't mention is this because he has JMO and all these weapons that. Like he's gonna bet. He's like one of the quarterbacks that you can actually say is gonna benefit from this format, other than like Joe Burrow and like maybe like Josh Allen or something. Like he's literally like one of the only guys that you can like say, yeah, he's gonna have multiple of those. He's probably gonna be one of the bigger leading the league or whatever in these 40+ yard touchdowns. It's just gonna happen with and maybe it's something to Gibbs. Like there's a lot of ways.
Oh my god, dude! I mean, just being a Lions fan. I mean, the offense is so much fun to watch, and I know we talked about it before, but both with not only Gibbs but Jamison Williams. Like you watch these guys, and it just looks like they're moving at a different speed than like every other player on the field. I guess like aside from each other, you know, those two guys. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential for long touchdowns. I mean, even Laporta gets some.
Like it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
You know, but you got all the fast guys. By the way, we completely missed in the chat. Dabadubi.
Yeah.
It's like almost like Yabba Dabba Doo. Yeah, you know, if he's still here, he said thoughts on Devontae Smith, which is hilarious because like I swear. I did see that for a second earlier. Like I swear he asked that right before we started talking about Devontae Smith, which would be
weird. Yeah,
which would be hilarious.
Right there.
Because why else would he ask it if we were talking about it? But he said, thoughts on like the trade though, and it was Devontae Smith, Swift in a second for London, and Cooper and Jacob helped him out of what we would say. It's like, yeah, we hopefully didn't make that trade hearing us talking about Devontae Smith. Because London, I'm not giving that up I'm not giving up London for that.
I think I'd need at least a late projected first on top of Devonta Smith. As much as I like him to get up to London, and even that,
you need more than that.
I don't know if I'm making that deal either.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there'd have to be like a first that maybe has a chance.
Minimum
like
first and a second.
Maybe I need a first and a second, honestly. So,
in that range.
Did he say he made the trade or he was considering it?
He just said thoughts on that deal, so it's probably one he would be considering. So if you're still here, you know, hopefully, you listen to Coop.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, if he's looking to just gain some value, maybe he's like rebuilding his team or just trying to add some value. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a good tear down trade of going from like London to Devonta Smith, a first and a second. I think that's a viable option.
The value's just not there.
It depends on where your team is. I mean, if you have like a ton of value on your team and you're loaded, there's probably like not that much reason to make that trade. But if you're kind of low on value overall on your team and you're looking to build some value, build up some assets, like I think that's a good deal to consider. So that's the counter you could make if that's the situation you're in.
And here's the key: I actually would do Devontae Smith in a first for London. It just depends on what first that is. Yeah, if I can catch a manager lacking and get like an early projected or mid guaranteed, like then I could certainly consider it. But I just wouldn't do it for any first, of course. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely look at the team of the owner that is connected to that first, and not just their starting lineup, but look at their bench, see how much depth they have. Think about scenarios where like, okay, do they have some older players? Do they have some injury-prone players? Like, what if this player gets hurt or that player gets hurt? Like, do they have not only the players to replace them? Do they have much in the way of like future picks that they could then use to like fill those voids? So it's good to think about all those things. Yeah,
then Randy was saying if Penix and Goff were there, who would we go with?
Penix and Goff? Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one.
I mean, I was thinking about that, like, because before Randy and Reed took Penix there, I was kind of thinking, like, I mean, initially it was just kind of like a no-brainer for me. Like, of course, I'm just going to take Goff. Not because I'm a Lions fan, but he's just so proven. And I mean, we were just singing the praises for him, so we don't need to repeat that. And with Penix, like, huge potential. Definitely a fun player to have in Dynasty. And who knows? Like, maybe he's one of those guys that there's even like more upside than we realize. Like, maybe he's one of those guys that just has this awesome breakout season. We're like, yeah, why weren't we buying more Penix, or why weren't we talking about him more, or you know what I mean? Like, so I could see it. I could see Penix kind of like almost taking us by surprise a little bit. Not that we'd be like shocked or anything, but like I could see us looking back and being like, yeah, you know, maybe we slept on him a little bit. So I definitely think Penix is very intriguing. Seems to be a good situation with the Falcons. I mean, I don't think they have like too much of a defense, if I'm not mistaken. That's always a good, nice thing to have.
I think they drafted like 3 edge rushers though, which is like maybe they turn that team around, defense around a bit. But
yeah, that wouldn't be the greatest thing you want to see for fantasy.
Yeah, 3 early, by the way.
Yeah, but pretty good situation there. So yeah, I do think he's interesting, but I mean, to me, like the age really isn't that big a deal, like we discussed. And with Goff, not only do I value the reliability of him and what an amazing season he's coming off of, but just how good he is, like year after year. I mean, he even had good season with the Rams. Like, people don't want to like give him credit for that. I feel like we've revised history and just said like, oh yeah, he was a bust with the Rams, but you know, then he was good on the Lions. Like, well, that's not exactly true. I mean, like, he had really good fantasy seasons for the Rams, even like really good real life NFL seasons for the Rams. I mean, he took the Rams to the Super Bowl, and yeah, I mean, the Patriots beat them. It wasn't that good of a game, but like, it's not like they got like demolished or anything. The offense didn't do much in the game, but anyways, tangent there. But yeah, Goff had good seasons. I mean, I remember that duel he had with Patrick Mahomes when he was on the Rams, where it was to score that game like 54-51 or something like that. I mean, that was probably one of the best football games I've ever seen. And yeah, Goff outdueled Mahomes. So it's kind of, it seems like Goff kind of has his number a little bit. I think he's I forget what his record is against them, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, at least 2-0 because he beat them in that.
Like that.
Yeah, he beat him that week 1. But yeah, I mean, like, this is literally just a question of like, what do you want? Like, it's probably maybe the way that your team's built. If I'm not certain I'm competing year 1, yeah, maybe I'm going to shoot on the side of Penix. I really don't even have an answer on this one. I don't want to make that pick. I want to just take whoever's.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it was convenient that the pick was made for me, but then I basically had to face a similar dilemma in like Goff and Dak. But I guess the injury was like the tiebreaker there, so it wasn't like too hard. Although like I could still see a scenario where like Dak just goes nuts, and then maybe there's like a impression for Goff, and it's like, oh man, like why didn't I take Dak? You know, but I think it was the right decision. Like I'll ride with my man Jared Goff there any day of the week. Yeah. But I can't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, it's nice when like you have these like similar players like let someone else make the decision for you. So I do like the way that worked out there. Yeah, so I mean, I definitely can't complain with where I got him here. I'm very happy to have him.
The key difference is Goff. You know what you have, and even I mean, he just doesn't go up in value even if he is the greatest. He's just not going to happen. We just saw it 3 years in a row. He's just it's not going to happen.
Actually,
so
you reminded me now.
Penix could be a first round startup pick.
That would be the reason to take Penix, is that like regardless of whether the age like actually matters in terms of like being able to project for the next few years, it does matter in the sense of the perceived value, the ADB. Where like if Penix comes out and has like a monster season,
if he put up a Jared Goff season, like one of the seasons he had in the last 3 years, Jordan Love is a example that you could be a first / early second startup pick. So like that's the bullish case for Penix there. So if you need that on your team, then you got to go Penix. If you don't, you could just take what you know in Goff and not worry about the value gain. So yeah, I mean that's a pretty. I don't even have an answer. That is the answer. So depends on your team what you're looking for.
I mean, I think by that argument, like you definitely could have made an argument for taking Penix over Goff, and maybe that's what Randy and Reed were thinking. I'm not sure. I guess we'd have to ask them. Like they could always chime in the chat there. But yeah, like maybe if you do have the choice there, maybe Penix is the right choice for that reason. If you're not set on competing, or if your team is going in that direction to start up, maybe Penix makes more sense, but there's more risk there. Like, what if Penix just ends up stinking and like you just could have had an awesome Jared Goff that would have helped you win a championship?
It's funny. The right pick probably is Penix, just simply for like everything Well, because he can technically outscore Goff. That wouldn't be crazy, and then the value could just like absolutely tear it apart. But like at the same time, I just think they should be here. I think they pretty much went perfectly in the draft here, regardless. So yeah, I mean I think these quarterbacks for them. Yeah, I mean basically I think they've came off pretty well, and I would say that like I think they've came off late, but I don't blame anyone for that because there's just so many of them as we've been talking about. So I think we actually got it right in that sense as a league to get them where we've been picking them. So
yeah, and I think my preference, like even though I'm open to the scenario in which I don't compete year one, definitely my strong preference is to compete year one. I don't like just throwing a year away if I don't have to. So I always like having the chance to win some money. And yeah, I think I would, just with my super flex spot, I mean, just like what we were talking about with Jared, it's just nice being able to have those two pillars that you can put in at your QB and super flex spots and just feel good about it. And I like having that coming out of a startup. So I think I'm more inclined, even if like Penix was there, to probably like slightly lean Goff. But I certainly see the value upside in Penix, and I can certainly see the argument there for anyone that would choose Penix over Goff. But I mean, for me, I think I can get my value elsewhere. I mean, look, I traded back to 3 spots, got a third. Yeah. Did the deal with Jared where I got the 2 seconds on top of Jalen Hurts to when I gave up Neighbors. So, I'm happy with adding extra value to my team in ways like that I think I can just go with the sure thing here, even if I had the choice.
Yeah. Another question from Dad here. Which is a new viewer, so you probably saw us on the.
Awesome. Yeah, welcome to the channel.
Yeah, welcome. You probably saw us on the whatever the For You page, whatever it is. But if not, let us know how you found the channel. But yeah, Scary Terry or DJ Moore, which is like, I don't even like that is. Those are like 2 players like carbon copies. Slightly different scenarios, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I know Terry McLaurin is like unhappy with his contract. That's what I've been reading lately.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if he's like holding out of OTAs or whatever. So yeah, a little discontent.
They're like a year apart. I think my initial reaction is Scary Terry, though. He's the definition of regression. He was expected like 7 touchdowns. Like however it depends. I think just like. There is like that touchdown expected rate of like it doesn't have to do with their targets or anything. It's like should he have caught a touchdown on that play or like he basically doubled it. And I ended up Trent and I were playing in a league where like co-managed a redraft. We played against a Terry one league where in week 15 where he literally single-handedly had beat us. And we watched the touchdowns, and it was insanity what he was doing. Like the play had just like went on and he just like caught it between like 3 people. It was like a busted coverage, and it was just like ridiculous. So like I could see how that happened after watching like some of his touchdowns. But with that being said, there's just like there's no target competition there. He can still have a great season. Whereas like DJ Moore, again, he can also have that stud seasons he's been having. But man, like he could just be kind of like sent to the I don't know. He's like way from a production standpoint, like way less certain than Terry McLaurin. I feel like because obviously all the Bears additions.
Yeah, just the amount of weapons there. He could be one of those guys where each week, like you kind of don't know which of these Bears weapons are going to go off that week, and it could kind of like ebb and flow throughout the season. Like I could see like DJ Moore having some hot stretches and then some cold stretches. So yeah, it might be a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, who knows? I mean, at the same time, like maybe he goes out and has an awesome season. Like it's hard to say.
Possible, but
it seems like it's just easier to project Terry McLaurin for a really rock solid season just because of the lack of target competition combined with being tied to a great quarterback like Jaden Daniels. So yeah, I think that's the answer I would go with. But yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of liking DJ Moore. Yeah, prior to the draft, obviously. So obviously that changes a lot there. So yeah, I'm not writing DJ Moore off, but yeah, I feel more confident projecting Terry McLaurin, assuming he, gets back to OTAs or whatever and works out the contract situation.
Yeah, if we're just talking Dynasty, I think the key here, like this is how I'm tie-breaking certain players. Like really with their median outcomes and just, or you're just looking at the range of outcomes, like, yeah, DJ Moore can be a roller coaster. People don't like roller coasters in fantasy.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I want to avoid that.
Yeah.
And yeah, McLaurin, you could argue it could be like, yeah, he could be kind of like a boom or bust player, but it's different because there's just not that target competition where, like, if we see that Rome breakout, Burden, Love, whatever it is, like, Moore is going to be a potential huge faller. So, or just like he could make the list of our draft of like unmovable players. Like, he could easily be on that list. Whatever, in a few months. So I'm trying to avoid unmovable players. I mean, when we were talking about that with Jared, I think that's the key of how I'm trying to play. I'm trying to play. I'll take like the unmovable like Tuas if I think the value is ridiculous, because of what they're producing. But if you're not producing, and people don't like you, like, what is your value? Then you're Xavier Legette and Treylon Burks and all those guys. Like, I don't want any players like that. Or Kyle Pitts. So, DJ Moore has that potential in the next season to really fall off a cliff in that sense. Though I don't know if that's likely, but much more likely than Terry McLaurin. So.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you could argue the positives of the situation there with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams going into his second season, and like, Loveland and Burden, like, what if they just start out slow or not playing a ton of snaps, and what if it's just like the DJ Moore and Roma Dunze show, and like they're going off, and it's like, oh man, like,
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. Like, it's
like, I'm not trying to like hate on him. He's like a really good receiver. I have one share of him.
Get him in redraft. Don't get him in Dynasty, in my opinion. Like,
okay,
he's a better redraft pick than he is Dynasty or best ball or whatever than Dynasty.
It's hard to know exactly what to expect from a player like that. So, that'll be one of the more fascinating situations to watch. Like, I think like last year we talked a lot about like the Packers wide receivers and like how that was going to play out. Like this year it could be the Bears receivers, kind of the same similar conversation there. Yeah,
it's true. And I mean, look, like none of the Packers receivers ended up doing it. I know it's a completely different situation, but like they had a good quarterback.
Moments, he started the season hot, and then he had some spike weeks, but on the whole, they kind of flamed out.
Maybe that's the key. Like all of those guys had their moments, and like that's someone was asking me this about the Bears receivers, and I just told them like Caleb Williams, like that's the guy I want. Maybe Loveland, like it depends. Like I'll tell you, if you're in the premium getting Loveland at 201, like. I think that's an awesome deal. I know that you've been like fading tight ends, but
I'll take him there in a 1.0 tight end premium. Like no issue.
Yeah, if I own the pick, like that late first, and he's just sitting there, heck yeah, I'll take him. But I just don't know how like I can confidently like take my shots, especially just like with how Dynasty, the people just don't like roller coasters. And that's just what the Bears room is, and we saw with the Packers though, less talented players all across the board, of course. But I don't know. There's obviously could be some big hits there, so that could be a mistake. I just don't feel confident myself that I know, who the right bet is. Like honestly, right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like if you end up with like 0 shares of Luther Burden, and then he's like the one that ends up being like the right answer, and you're like, oh man, like why didn't I get more shares of this guy? It's gonna feel obvious then like looking back, but. At the time, right now, it's really hard to say. So, I certainly don't mind having shares of any of the Bears receivers. I'm trying to think. I guess I have the one DJ Moore share, which I just got in a big, like, tear-down trade from the 101. I got, that was in Bums and Ballers. I basically got DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey and Tony Pollard and who was the fourth piece? Was it I can't remember now. Oh, I can't remember for sure. But it was a pretty nice package. And then let's see, Roma Dunze. I just traded the share in Grease Bowl. That was the only share I had of him when I got Josh Allen. And then Luther Burden. Somehow, some way, I just haven't ended up with any shares of him. I guess probably because I've been taking too much R.J. Harvey and I have an Ibuka share.
Yeah, but all guys I'd take over Burden easily, like without a doubt.
I've been and then even like into the early second. I guess I only have like one Trey Harris, one Jaden Higgins, but
you probably just haven't owned or traded up for the pick. I mean, I fell into a Burden, so I have a Burden.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about it. Like, all right, Like, I guess I could bet on him if I don't trade him, but like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not like heartbroken that I don't have any Burden shares. I certainly wouldn't mind having one, just so I don't get like left out if he ends up being like the next big thing or whatever. But
here's the key: like, I don't think he's gonna get off to a hot start. So, yeah, I took him because he was at the 203, but like, just buy him and see. It doesn't mean you're.
I'm like, in the first 8 weeks of the season when he's like done nothing.
It's the same as my Marv thing to a lesser scale. It's just like it doesn't mean you're out. You could get more information on the situation and his price might go down. So and even if it goes up, you can still buy him on the way up. So just don't let him take off to the moon and then.
Yeah, I think that's the thing you have to remember is that like just because you don't get any shares of a player like after the rookie drafts, that doesn't mean that like, oh, you missed out on this player now, like you're never have any shares of them. There's plenty of time. Like there are going to be windows where you can buy them and possibly even buy them cheaper. So that is something that we should definitely remember.
Yeah, I don't think that's like talked about enough. I think it's like, oh yeah, you got to get him in the rookie draft. You can't come away with them. And it's like, dude, like I don't own any Igbuka. I don't own any.
But that doesn't mean that you're not planning to acquire any at some point. You probably want to acquire some at some point.
I don't own even Golden, who I've been like hesitant on. Like I don't own any of him, but I'd like to get a Golden. He's been at a really reasonable price. I just have not been in situations to get these guys. The way that my picks have been aligned and trading up for like the Hunters and Teds, so it's just like I'd love to get these guys, especially the prices they're going. Yeah. But yeah, I mean it's going to be something down the road where I'm probably getting, and I am not out at all, like, in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes your exposure or whatever doesn't align, but it doesn't mean that you can't be in. And it's just not like some linear path. It's or like the teleport from like, Ladd McConkey, for example. Like he didn't just start out here and then just like, week 1, like he's untouchable. You could have literally bought him the entirety of like the first half of the season for just like really a slightly bumped up price from what you were doing before, because I remember like end of the season, I was trying to get him and someone's like, I'm way ahead of the market on him. Like I'm like at a mid first, and I'm like, oh man, I love him, but like I don't know if I could like pay that up right now, right? And that's the funny part. Like that's where he was like right around the fantasy playoffs. And now look at him, like so like it wasn't like he was just like where he is now at week 14. That's just not how it works. So there's plenty of windows to buy these guys, and I don't know. I don't feel like that's really talked about enough. That and one of the trades that we've talked about a few times, Dan, is like I traded Garrett Wilson for Brian Thomas, but that was when Garrett Wilson was like slightly favored still in the market before Brian Thomas, and I was willing to just like I missed out on Brian Thomas. I'll make this swap now, and I'll just get him on his way up. So.
Yeah, because you saw the direction that was going, and so that I think that was a very savvy trade that you made then. I feel like we should probably wrap up here pretty soon. I'm starting to get tired. But I know. Did you pull up my team here? I don't know if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I was just pulling it up. I mean, you started pretty similar start to Colossal so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Building around wide receiver and quarterback basically. So. Yeah. I'm very happy with it. I'm not like too concerned about not having any running backs yet, not having any tight ends. I think I'll have my opportunities there. So we'll see. I mean, I think I can probably put together a competitive team year 1, but if I don't, like, it's not the end of the world. So we'll see how it comes together. But I mean, as long as I get a lot of value. I also have like we talked about the 2 future seconds in 26, or the 2 extra. I guess one's in 27, but then I also have the extra 3rd and 26.
Yeah.
So I haven't accumulated like as many future picks as I'd like to. I did make that like trade up to get Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a share of him, so it's kind of like this is like my. But this might have actually been my last chance to get a Brian Thomas share anytime soon with how expensive he is. So he's just kind of a guy I wanted to get. So it's just kind of me splurging there, but yeah, I'm happy with the team and interested to see how the rest of it comes together.
Yeah, Reed asked if we looked at everyone's team, and we were thinking about it, but we're ultimately like next week we'll probably do that with Trent. It sounds like we'll have him on, if not someone else, but we'll probably look at that like when the startup's done, Just so
Yeah,
we even
that
like.
makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what am I gonna say about my team right now? You know, like it's like I got 2 quarterbacks and a tight end. I mean, like and a bunch of picks. Like I got a bunch of picks coming up. So like my team's about to be shaped up. It's a lot of people in the same situation. They just have a few players, so it's kind of hard to I don't know, comment too much on anyone's team. Like I think the one that stood out was who was it?
Jacob.
Well, yeah, I mean, he certainly stood out too. But there was who was it was Randy? No, it was Augie. I think it was like Augie. I thought his start was like pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's like basically the opposite of your guys. Is he did get the quarterback? You and Jacob and like Coda. He has the quarterbacks too, but he's leaning the running backs.
Yeah, he's got Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and then running backs Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, and Breece Hall. Yeah. That's a pretty interesting build. Like, I mean, he's got like 3 awesome young running backs, but he didn't have to like totally break the bank on it.
And he has an extra first banked.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's a really nice start, and he's got like 2 pillar QBs there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fills out wide receiver and tight end as the draft goes on, or what his plan is. But like he should be able, if he makes some savvy moves and picks the rest of the draft, like he should be able to field a very nice team, both potentially in the long term and certainly that can contend right away. Yeah,
and then like Randy and Reed's team is very similar to the Augie team. They don't have that extra first banked. I think they still do have their first, but like they kind of did almost the opposite order. They took the running backs first. Now they're getting into the quarterback. They got a receiver, whereas like Augie took the quarterbacks first. So I mean, pretty similar teams start. So like. Yeah, I mean, I thought those were just kind of interesting starts. And then, of course, Coda's got his receiver heavy with a quarterback. Jacob's extremely receiver heavy, which is interesting because it's only a start 2 receiver league. If it was a start 3 receiver, like I'd be a little nervous right now. But I'm really not too like from the way I'm gonna build my team. Like there's like 50 startable receivers projection wise, maybe even more than that. So like. I don't need them to be the most valuable dynasty receiver.
I think, I don't want to, speak for Jacob. I don't know. Yeah, I think Jacob's in the chat. So, yeah, he could certainly, weigh in. And, yeah, he's a very smart guy, and he definitely knows what he's doing. My feeling is that, and there might be more reasons to it, but, at least what comes to mind to me is just, insulating value.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It sounds like
he's not concerned about competing year one. I don't think there's a better investment than wide receiver. There's really no easier position to trade away in Dynasty than wide receiver. It's the easiest position to trade away.
Interesting. Yeah, I this whole time I've been looking at this. I think this is a great start for a contending team. I think you could really easily build a team around this. So, I don't know. Yeah, I was just assuming he's trying to,
I was telling him. He seems set on, punting year one, but, with the value he's gained and the good picks he's made, I think he could pretty easily turn into a contender. So
was that you were talking to him and
yeah, we were DMing.
I see. Okay, because I was like, what? I don't know. I thought he'd be contending with this team personally, and that's what was a little.
I was kind of surprised to hear it, but
I was surprised he was passing on the quarterbacks because he could have perfectly tied the quarterbacks in with all those receivers and really had a lineup. So, his start for players wise, you talk about insulation, those are some damn good receivers,
Oh, yeah, and even those purple kickers there, we know those are going to be receivers.
We're
talking about it, about Travis Hunter and Emeka Buka, so, pencil that in right now. But, if you put those names there in place of the kickers, that's a 6 start, so...
Yeah.
I don't entirely agree with, punting because I think he doesn't really have to. But either way, I think Jacobs could have a sick team. So I really, either way, contending or punting year one, I think he's done an awesome job.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And Reed's saying right now, he was thinking he was jumping to go get Penix because he thought. I was looking at this board and I thought I thought Jacob was a lock to get a quarterback.
He could have stacked with London if he was able to get Penix.
I thought Titan was a lock to get a quarterback. I thought Hawkeyes was a lock to get a quarterback. And then there was trades, and then they kept skipping on them. So, I was shocked, basically, these quarterbacks fell to even 509. So it's been interesting to see how, people haven't been, go into like the team need and picking who like they think is the best player available, or just like building their team differently. So like I was shocked that the quarterback survived the gauntlet there, because I was looking ahead and like I thought this was about to be the run of just like QB after QB after QB. So that's been interesting to see how that's played out.
Yeah, and maybe that's like part of why I was willing to like just roll the dice again, that like maybe Goff would fall to me. I didn't really think it would happen. I was pleasantly surprised, but maybe it was just my sense of just like how this league is like drafting a little different. The same rules don't necessarily apply just compared to the average Dynasty league. And yeah, the two other startups that I did this season, Jared Goff went at the 502 in both of them. One of those was me picking them, and then the other was someone else.
Yeah.
But even 502, I think, is pretty nice value for Jared Goff. So yeah, I never would have imagined he fell here, but I think the further the draft went, I was kind of becoming more open to that possibility that like, things aren't just going to go how they normally go in this league.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So, and then Reed was saying, did we think Jacobs was a bad pick? And I'm thinking he's asking about these last two. And so I was like, I think a lot of it is a great value. I was hoping somehow, some way, everyone was scared of the concussion. He'd just keep tumbling to me. And then the 108 is interesting because the way he's going to build that team, like he's going to get out of a good player or a trade asset. But like, if I'm talking about my own personal life, I would have taken the quarterback over the 108 personally.
I think he was asking about Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs. I forget where it was. 412, I believe. I like the pick. There were a lot of different ways you probably could have gone there. It probably wasn't like an easy choice. I'm sure you probably were thinking about quarterback there. I'm not sure what the best available quarterbacks were, but and I think I already told this to you guys, but I love the idea of like strengthening a strength. Like you were already like really, you were awesome at running back, having the pair of Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson up front with your first two picks. And then to add to that strength with, Josh Jacobs, who's just an awesome win now running back to have, I think that's pretty sick. So, like, it's definitely not going to be fun going up against matchups with that running back room. And, yeah, I like the pick, and I think it was a fun pick, and I think it fit their team in terms of winning now. And I always love strengthening a strength. Yeah.
I differentiate because I think it could pay off I think he'd be one of the more productive running backs again. Though I think their run rate and stuff will go down when he was really getting hot. I don't think that really matters. I'm not caring too much about that. Personally, I just wouldn't take him 412. Like there's tons of other productive running backs to give you a year or two. Jacobs would probably give you more than that, but could probably pay off. I wouldn't take him at 412 personally. I would have. The way I'm looking at the board, the fourth and that 412 area, that's where I'm looking to get a quarterback, or a rookie pick or something like that. I'm not looking to take a running back there because I don't think that's where the value is. So I think like from a productivity standpoint, could certainly pay off and be a really good pick. But I think if you're looking at anything to do with value, I think the best case is you broke even with that pick. He pays it off.
They certainly didn't make the pick for value. They made the pick to just like boat race teams like in year one and maybe year two and take home a championship or two. So I think that's why you take the Josh Jacobs pick there. So it's a riskier pick certainly. It wouldn't project as well in the long term. You're not necessarily thinking like Jacob's going to be like producing like 3, 4, 5 years from now, obviously.
Yeah.
But for the next like 2 years or so, that could certainly pay off. If you get a championship in the next year or two, like it was probably worth the pick. So I definitely don't mind it at all.
That's what's interesting to me and why I'm looking at it differently is just like there's about 1 million running backs down the board that like. If you don't care about value, like we got Derrick Henry, like all those guys. So like that's where I differentiate. Like I'm just willing to go to a different name, and not pay the 4th round pick, and then get something later. So that's that.
Josh Jacobs is 27, and Derrick Henry is 31. So I'm not saying like Derrick Henry couldn't be good for this season, maybe even one after that because he's just like not human. Yeah. But you have to feel better that like Josh Jacobs could give you 2 to 3 more years, whereas with Henry, like you're hoping for like 1 more year. So I do think there's a difference there, but I hear you. Like, I mean, it's probably not. I mean, it's probably not how I'm building like my team in a startup. But at the same time, like if I were in their position, and the draft fell to me a certain way, where I end up like double tapping Bijan and Gibbs, it's like, oh, now I can add to that and go Josh Jacobs. I could imagine a scenario where I could just kind of lean into that.
Yeah, and it was funny because they were saying it was kind of between quarterback and running back, so like they ended up trading up for Penix. So I mean, honestly, if you flip those picks for me, I think it's like I got no issue with it. If you told me you drafted Jacobs at 5'6" and Penix, that's just what I would prefer. I would have taken Penix over Jacobs 100%.
Yeah. So same result there. I guess aside from
you just got him in a different order than I would have preferred personally. That's all. So it's funny how that works out. And then you've never done kicker. Oh, okay. He's never done the kickers in the draft, so been struggling to figure out like when to take them, how to value them.
Yeah, it's kind of, that is kind of tricky because it's like we've talked about how it's like never as fun like drafting a kicker as opposed to like a player, at least for most people. But it's also weird because, I mean, you probably shouldn't be drafting for need, but some people still do. And so, but even if you're not drafting just for like positional need, maybe there's just a player you really want that happens to be a rookie, and it's kind of weird because like you're not sure by taking this like rookie pick that you draft and like let's just say it's like the 106, and maybe you have your eye on Cam Ward or maybe you have your eye on Quinshon Judkins, and it's like, okay, you think that player is probably going to be there at that pick, but you don't know for sure. So that's the kind of tricky part about it.
Yeah, I mean, those top 7-ish picks, you can kind of get an idea. But yeah, once you get past that 8 and beyond, I mean, I guess if you pick 8, you'll probably know, like, Jacob's saying he'll take Loveland because we know who the top 7 players are generally. But yeah, if you're picking pick 11, like, who the hell knows, like, who you're getting there. So it's hard to, like, take that and know for need what you're going to get. But yeah, I mean, Reed was saying the running backs, like, he thought they were going to go earlier. I actually thought that too. I thought because it's a lower buy-in that like running backs would be pushed up a bit, but we got some smart managers in there. So like, instead of Saquon Barkley being like an early 3rd pick, which I thought like potentially could happen, like he went where he should be going in this like 310 range where he normally goes, and the running backs so on. So I thought the running backs have been pretty good like coming off the board so far.
Yeah.
There hasn't been like many. Yeah. Like Jacobs was like the 7th running back off the board, I think. So there's only been 9.
And that just kind of makes you want to like push him down further to see like, okay, like how much can I push this? Like how far are they going to fall? Right,
just like the quarterbacks, like seeing how Lawrence and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, like, because on the one hand, does it benefit you to kind of follow the trend in the way it's going, and then you can like still get some of these values late, or do you zig when everyone else is zagging and then just take advantage of getting these like loading up on these awesome running backs like they did? So it's kind of a it's an interesting argument there on like what's the best thing to do, but I think you can make it work either way, and I think it'll be interesting to see how Reed and Randy's team ends up, because I mean it should be pretty scary right off the rip. I mean, depending on how they do in the rest of the draft and pulling it all together. Yeah,
there's a lot of teams right now without receiver.
Yeah.
It's funny, I don't think the receivers have been like really pushed up like that much at all. There's been a couple picks, but they've mostly been coming up. It's just that 3 people own them all. So like, I don't know. Like I'm interested to see how that actually like shifts the league. Just because you only need to start 2, so like I don't know how other people are gonna play it. But, like, are these later guys going to start coming off earlier? Are they going to go the same? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, could there be, like, a real, like, run on receivers? But, yeah, it is surprising. Well, I think the reason why more receivers haven't gotten off the board is because the teams like Reed and Randy, who have missed out on some of the receivers, like, rather than just trying to, like, play catch-up and getting, like, worse receivers just to, like, keep up with everyone. Instead, like they're like we talked about, zigging when everyone else is zagging, and like, hey, we'll just take these awesome running backs that are falling to us. And so, I think that's probably a smart way to play it in that situation. So I think that's part of the reason why you see a team like theirs that just like doesn't have any receivers, or I guess they have one, AJ Brown, which great receiver to have. But I think that's probably part of the reason why.
Yeah, and if you get one of those AJ Brown, and I'm looking at Hawkeyes here too. Like he has a Puka, he just needs one more. So yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. Honestly, like I don't play in too many 2 receivers. It's always 3. So like, I mean that's a huge difference. That's the whole other 12 that need to be started across the league each week.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably would have expected, maybe even going into this, that I would have been more willing to take running backs because I have the option to like start an extra one each week.
Yeah.
Given that they're only like 2 wide receiver slots instead of 3, but it's still the same amount of starters that we like, which is 11.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can really start a ton of running backs if you really load up on them. But at the same time, given that it's a startup draft,
they're not the greatest assets.
Yeah, I want the insulated assets, and I just typically don't want to build my team around running backs in the startup unless I'm kind of forced into it, or unless maybe that's like a point per carry, or I don't know. I guess you could argue like for a low buy-in, which this is, like maybe you just like, okay, just go for the win now. So certainly a lot of different variables to consider. There'd be scenarios in which I would build heavier running back, but I think like my instincts just kind of took over of I just really want to build like a great team in the long term, really build a dynasty. Yeah.
I mean, that's been, I don't know, I think that's like the most interesting thing about any startup is like everyone seems to have, obviously similar, like you got, people have general the same values, and you got to make these picks eventually, but like there's just so many ways to attack the startup that I think you get really creative with it. And this has been a one where a lot of people have been taking different routes than you normally see. Most people just normally draft a quarterback, running back, receiver, like so on, like in a order. But like we're really seeing people lean into like building up these stacked running back or receiver, quarterback room. Someone has Allen and Lamar or something.
A lot of unique builds and unique strategies. So I think it's been fascinating. So I've been really impressed with everyone. And I mean, this league has been awesome. I mean, I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I've just absolutely loved it so far. It's been so cool seeing it come together. And I really look forward to the rest of the startup draft and the season. And I hope this is a league that's around for years to come, hopefully. With that, I really got to sign off here. I'm getting pretty tired. I'm ready to fall asleep here. It's like at midnight, and probably been streaming for like 3 hours. But thank you to everyone who's joined us here. I mean, it seems like there's been a lot of people watching, a lot of activity in the chat. We did our best to keep up with all of it. But just thank you everyone for the support. Definitely subscribe if you're new. Like the stream. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when we go live. And thank you for the support, and thank you to everyone being in the break room. It's just been awesome.
Yeah, listen.
I'm sorry, not the break room. God, I must be getting tired. The listener league, How could I forget?
Great stream.
So thank you all for being in it. It's been so awesome.
Yeah, great stream. Glad to have Jared on. And then, we'll probably Trent next week. We'll see. But we'll have to get one, in week this time, Thursday or whatever. We'll figure it out, whatever it is, but we'll aim for Thursday.
Yeah, it'll most likely be Thursday, which is pretty much our new day for Dynasty and Beers.
We'll probably talk some more startup, maybe get some underdog drafts, whatever. We'll see what happens. So, great stream.